across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Afternoon to you, just gone 4 o'clock. Ian Collins back tomorrow from 1, but it's drive time. We're back live across the United Kingdom. As I always say, this is your show. It's about common sense. It's about free speech. It's about you and the opportunity to say what you feel on the week's and day's news. Loads of ways of contacting us as ever. Let's bang that in straight away. If you want to ring, our Jodie's back. She's very happy. Looking forward to Everton Leeds tonight. No, 0344 499 1000. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. If you want to send a WhatsApp voice note to our Ryan, who's really switched on today because there's a television crew, there's a camera crew in the studio, and Ryan is trying to look his best. It's like the old days. 0344 499 1000 on WhatsApp. You can text throughout the show as ever, 87222. Start your message with the word talk. It's not very interesting, I understand, but in terms of the world, it certainly is. Obviously, Trump and Zelensky about to meet in the Oval Office. Zelensky accompanied by Macron. Did you see how I did that? And Stammer. He's got a big zit on his top lip, slightly embarrassing. Anyway, they're going to be in the White House. We're going to keep you updated. There's a sort of series of timings. It'll probably all go askew, but we'll take you through that as it happens. Actually, is this worth playing, Ryan? Are you sure? Right, Ryan's made a decision. I think it'll be boring. Let's listen to what Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who spells his name wrong, said whilst en route to Washington and the Oval Office. Here we go.
This war in Ukraine has been going on a really long time now. I mean, 3+ years. Hugely impacted the Ukrainians, who've suffered hugely, but it's also impacted Europe. It's impacted every single family and community in the United Kingdom. And so everybody wants it to end, not least the Ukrainians. But we've got to get this right. We've got to make sure there is peace, that it is lasting peace, and that it is fair and that it is just. And that's why I'm travelling to Washington with other European leaders to discuss this face-to-face with President Trump and President Zelensky, because it's in everyone's interests, it's in the UK's interests that we get this right.
I actually find myself, for the first time ever, agreeing with absolutely everything. We'll all have an opinion. Some people will say Donald Trump promised the earth and didn't deliver. Others will say at least he's actually brought people to the negotiating table. I think we all know where most people's sympathy lies, but it is important that... I read so much over the weekend. People were saying that pariah, Vladimir Putin, now back in the international circle, grinning like a Cheshire cat. Others will say that Ukraine are going to be sold down the river. I hope that all of them together bang their bloody heads together and do what's right to get, actually, as Starmer says, this war ended. Why am I drawn to the enormous spot on his bottom lip? If you're watching on YouTube, it's quite extraordinary. It's like a golf ball. I mean, that's the only story. 0344 499 1000. At home, though, oh my God. Can we please talk about flag wars? There's a council in our capital city, this is Tower Hamlets Council in East London, announced that patriotic displays, i.e. flags of the Union Jack or St George, will be removed. The Union Jack were raised by locals as part of a movement online calling Operation Raise the Colours, but the mayor of Tower Hamlets, Lufa Rahman, who was found guilty of electoral fraud in 2015, have we repeated that? So the leader of Tower Hamlets Council, Lufa Rahman, was found guilty of electoral fraud in 2015, has thwarted the campaign. The national flags will now be ripped down as part of a, ready for this, routine maintenance. However, Starmer absolutely supports people putting up the flags. I don't understand, and I genuinely would love your take on this afternoon. Please call me. Is it me? Why are the Scots proud of their flag and allowed to put it up? Why are the Welsh? Why are the Irish? Why are we hamstrung by a pile of... right? So that if you want to put up the cross of St George, you want to put up the Union Jack, apparently that's not right. Well, what's wrong with me being patriotic about my flag? Oh, apparently that's disrespectful to other people. Why isn't it disrespectful in other countries? Why is it all right for people to fly, I don't know, Palestinian flags, other flags? Why can't I fly my flag? Why? Who is that man? How did he get elected? Luther Rahman. Was it electoral fraud? Honestly, is it me, right? It's absolutely outrageous. Dear sweet listener, what do you make of it? Should we be able to fly the flag? You'd have thought so, wouldn't you? 0344 419 1000. Also, Canary Wharf. Did you read this story? Why Pink Lady? Can somebody tell me what this story... Pink Lady anti-migrant protesters in standoff with police at Canary Wharf amid fresh demonstration. I don't really understand what... I thought that was an apple. Isn't it a Pink Lady? You haven't really explained this to me, have you, really? Yeah, the protesters were dressed in pink. Actually, to be listen, at the end of the day, we've talked about migration until the cows come home. You know, I find it astonishing. I've said it almost absolutely every single day. I do not believe that the antagonism and anger aimed at the migration chaos that we see is all down to the far right. I think millions of hard-working, tax-paying, law-abiding, normal British, English, whatever you're allowed or not allowed to say people, are fed up to the back teeth and they see successive governments incapable of doing anything other than being made a mockery of, and thus we feel the same. 0344 419 1000. Is it Trump? Is it flags? Is it migration? Whatever you want to talk about. Anna in Surrey, my take from that clip is that Starmer, Macron, the Liberals have already sold Ukraine out. Interesting. 0344 419 1000. We say a very good afternoon to the legend, the assistant comment editor of the Telegraph, Poppy Coburn. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Right, first up, because I hope we're friends, are you better?
I'm feeling much better, yeah.
Is it true you've got to go at 4:15? Why is that?
Oh, I can stay a little bit longer, actually.
See, Ryan, you're full of rubbish. She's got a hard out at 4:50.
No, I'm getting your producers in trouble now.
Absolutely. No, Sodom. Can we please... the Trump thing's going to happen. Do you think, just very quickly, do you at the Telegraph, do you yourself think that they are selling Zelensky out, or do you think it's correct that this is done to save more bloodshed? Many people are saying, hold on a second, this guy's a tyrant. He's a dictator. He's wanted by the International War Crimes Committee. So where do you stand on this, Pops?
I think it can both be true that America is probably going to sell out Ukraine, and by sell out I mean probably give up some of those eastern regions that Putin hasn't yet fully gained control of, but controls the majority of, over to Russia, and also that the war in its current state is unsustainable. But then the factor that's not being acknowledged here is this is a European war, so where are European leaders? And this has been the problem for years now. Okay, we are not strong enough to fight this war and support Ukraine by ourselves. It's had to be America that's been giving the money, it's been giving the military kit. And unfortunately, America is fed up of the war. They don't want it to continue. The problem is we're now so powerless. I mean, you could see it in that Keir Starmer clip. When he was reading like a Wikipedia summary, you didn't have any insight whatsoever, no military strategy,
no.
Just like, oh, this is unfortunate, it's a difficult situation, we'll try and muddle through. I mean, that's not good enough. So I think it's true. I think this is an awful, awful situation for the people of Ukraine, but it's been a long time coming.
Couldn't agree more. I know it's pretty trivial, but you and me are sometimes trivial. Did you see that huge spot on his bottom lip? The leader of the United Kingdom. It's like a golf ball on his bottom lip. What's going on? And
his top man, bomber jacket.
He
looked like my dad. Sorry to my dad.
He looked like your dad. Oh, that's destroyed your dad. Do you agree with Poppy about Ukraine? 0344 419 1000. Can we talk at home? Because this flag fury, I don't even understand how we have got to a point in this country where I can be told I can't fly my flag in my garden or on my house. And interestingly, the mayor of Tower Hamlets, Lufa Rahman, was found guilty of election fraud in 2015, I found out this afternoon. Did you know that?
Gets even better. It's so funny. So at the beginning, well, it's horrifying. I shouldn't laugh, but after October 7th, all over Tower Hamlets, Palestinian flags started to be flown in the area. This is almost immediately after Hamas's terror attack. And they were up for 3 months. Now, I'm interested that these flags were only taken down after a legal challenge was mounted. There seemed to be no urgency at the time to think about the health and safety considerations of having Palestinian flags up. So do I believe Lifter Rahman and his Aspire party, with its, let's just say, past impropriety, that, it's just so worried about people being hit by these flags if they were to fall down.
I mean, this BS, by the way, for people tuning in, they're hiding their ideology. This happened in Birmingham when they said, well, we can't, we need to do maintenance. Now they're saying in Tower Hamlets, honestly, I am going to headbutt the desk. I've got it in front of me. Flagpoles could fall down and bash people on the head. I don't understand, not even as a society, yeah, I do actually, as a society, how we're allowing this BS to govern us. I genuinely don't understand. I think it's so fundamentally wrong. And I know people in the past have said, Poppy, that, oh, the far right have taken the St George's flag. Well, can we take it back, please? Because I'm quite proud to be British, and I don't see why I seem to be the only race in the in the world that cannot be proud of where I come from. Not that I am increasingly, but do you know what I mean?
Right, it's exactly. You know, I had someone saying, "Oh, well, it's about ownership of the space," and it's like, sorry, have we forgotten what country we live in? Like, we live in England, so it's perfectly capable to have ownership of the local space. You know, considering that is the country of which we all live in. You know, you can fly every single flag that you possibly want to in the UK. We've made that clear. You could fly the LGBT flag, you can fly the Palestinian flag. But if you try and fly the English flag, then all of a sudden it's a health and safety issue, or it's making local people uncomfortable, and you've got to take it down. Now, I'm so pleased that these people have decided to take this action, because they can't be called far right, they can't be called thugs, they're just putting flags up. And if that offends you, then that's your problem.
But you know, as an overview, I didn't speak to you last week. You know, there was a story last week whereby 4 people, I would say good people, a man was exposing himself on a train. So they took it into their own hands to take this man off the train because there were kids and young teenage girls. Far from him being arrested, I now live in a world, a country, where they are being investigated by the British Transport Police for being overly aggressive and taking this man, against his wishes, off a train. Are we at a point, seriously, when we have lost any sense of, or just understanding? I should be able to fly my flag. If I see somebody that's a danger to women, I should be able to, I don't know, call the police. But where does it end, Poppy? Seriously, where does it end? Because it's so worrying to me, genuinely worrying.
But it's exactly, people feel they have to take the law into their own hands. Because the thing is, government forces will come forward and say things like, well, you've got to follow procedure, you've got to follow the rules. But this is why something like 2-tier stuck in people's minds so much. Because they go, well, we've been following the rules all along. You know, we've been keeping our head down, we've been going about our life, we've been paying taxes, and yet for us, our life is getting worse all the time. And we see around us people who aren't polite, who are breaking the law, who are seeming to get a free ride, and they're not being punished. You know, all people want is fair and equal treatment. That's not what they've been getting.
But you talk about fair and equal treatment. I couldn't agree more. How do you... I would never ask a woman her age, but you're a lot younger than me by a merry mile. How do you imagine that we, at your age, how we've got to a point where we are governed by apologists, we are seemingly governed by institutions, controlled by institutions who have absolutely zero common sense and have their own ideology? Well, last week, you went on, I had to sit here and tell the story of an Afghan migrant who walks onto Bournemouth Beach in Dorset 2 years ago, sticks his hands down the back and the front of a 17-year-old girl's tracksuit bottoms, and 2 years it's taken with legal aid for him patently. And some judge said, and I quote, "This was a mere aberration and a one-off. He's had a very difficult upbringing. I think we should keep him in this country forever and help him change his life." When I hear stuff like that, because he's now free to roam Bournemouth Beach again, and I hear about flags, and I hear about, what's the other story today? A handful of backstreet factories in China are making hundreds of dinghies believed to be used to ferry migrants across the channel. Why do we seem to make excuses for everything that's bad and screw people who are living, as you said, their lives correctly and doing everything by the book? Because we're in trouble. People are
going to come to the conclusion that the British state isn't designed for them. Yeah. You know, it doesn't look out for them. If you can't do the very basic thing, if a country can do one thing, it's to keep you safe.
Isn't a government's first responsibility to its own people? Or do I risk being slaughtered for saying that? Doesn't, you know, that old adage my mother used to use about charity beginning at home? I think the whole thing's changed because for years when we were okay, I think we turned a blind eye. I think you've absolutely got it. I think now people are going, hold on, energy's up, food's up, my bills are up, my job's going, my kids can't get into school, my mum can't see a doctor, the kids can't go... Oh, they've got it all, have they? And I think people are suddenly going, I'm paying for that, and that's fundamentally wrong.
Yeah. As we're being told to make sacrifices, tighten our belts, you know, it's a difficult time we're living through, and yet you're seeing people, you know, living at large and not seeming to play by the same rules. It's unfair. It's completely unfair. But again, when that happens and you don't trust that the state is looking out for you and your interests, why would you even engage with it? No, why would you bother to pay your taxes? Why would you encourage your children to go fight in the armed forces? you don't feel that the country's there for you anymore. It's a really dangerous situation to be in, and yet the government don't seem to realise that, or they don't seem to care.
And it's interestingly, and I'm not sticking up for him because I think he's awful, but this hasn't just happened in 1 year. To me, it feels like there's been a sort of steady decay over a number of years, to the point where, yeah, I know I sound 60, I'm beginning to not recognise what I see. And I was never like that. I'm really... worried's the wrong word, concerned, most definitely. And do you know what really concerns me more than anything is the sort of apathy, which I understand in people that go, well, there's no point anymore, it's gone, our country's gone, there's no point, is it? This isn't going to happen, this is going to be a disgrace. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe a new government, maybe that's why Farage is garnering the support he is. Could he, if elected, deliver? I don't know, but I think I just think we're in a really, really difficult place.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, if you're younger as well, and you've only ever known decline, and you've only ever known things getting worse, you're desperate. You're like, I'll go with anyone who says they're going to do something better for the country. Because, I want to live here. I have no intentions of leaving. This is my country. It's where I was born. Absolutely. I want to have a family here one day. I want to raise children here. But at the moment, it's not fair. It doesn't work.
I saved this story.
Social contract.
I saved this story for you. I don't know if the guys and girls, God, I sounded through the glass have heard this. This is a genuinely true story. I was up in Newcastle last week with my best friend, and without going into detail, a young man who is going out with one of his partner's daughters. I would call him a model student. First-class honours degree in economics, A-levels, GCSE, good sportsman, semi-professional rugby player, 6'4", Caucasian, built like a brick outhouse, absolutely fine. Always wanted to be a fund manager, go and work in the City of London. This is how the work... When I tell you this, Ryan, even you will fall off the chair. Over a year, 200 applications for jobs, not one response. I say what I'm going to say, and people will be behind their cars and they'll go, you what? A mate of his said to him on the phone, if you do this, everything will change. He changed one thing on his CV and got 4 interviews in the following 2 weeks. Do you know what he did?
Tell me.
I'm not even joking. This is scary as anything. He put down, I'm non-binary on his CV, and he got 4 interviews in 2 weeks. That is why I can be called any name under the sun. I think it's frightening. Poppy, frightening.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You think people are angry now? Just you wait till a new generation of people who've only ever known things be rubbish come up and start voting. People are fed up.
Completely. Listen, you're so sweet to stay 5 minutes longer. We love having you on. Poppy Coburn, thank you, assistant comment editor at the Daily Telegraph. 4:20. If you want to be on, what do you want to talk about? Flag fury. Pete does in Lancashire. Go.
Flying the English flag, it's not something new, mate, is it? Because how many pubs do you know that celebrate St George's Day, St Paddy's Day? There's Irish music, there's, all the Guinness and all that in England. But St George's Day, it's never been celebrated. So flying the England flag isn't something new, mate.
I know it isn't something new, but it's something that I feel we should be able to do without some do-gooding left-wing liberal telling me that apparently it's not maintenance work. Poppy Coburn's right. It's nothing to do about flagpoles or danger, although we are obsessed now with health and safety. It's because there are an increasing number of people with an ideology which is that we're not supposed to be proud of who we are. We're supposed to be embarrassed by who we are and spend our entire times wiping the backside of other people. I'm not in on that. This is Talk Drive.
got a notoriously high acquittal rate, dating back decades. And I think it says more about the jurisdiction from where jurors are chosen to serve at Snaresbrook than it does about our criminal justice system. I'm a big fan of jury systems, and we've got to keep them, because if you fall foul of the law, allegedly, and you go on trial, I do not want to be tried by 1, 2 or 3 judges. I want to be tried by a jury.
Those individuals in hotels come from nationalities disproportionately likely to be convicted of sexual offences. I also think the way the police have been handling this situation, especially in Canary Wharf, where a lady was arrested as well for, of course, voicing legitimate concerns about what was going on in her neighbourhood. I think there's a real sense that the powers that be just haven't quite clocked on that the British public are now very aware that this is something that doesn't just pose threats around the margins. And
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 4:22 Monday Drive. My name's Jeremy Carr. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, it is the home of common sense, where actually we're free and able to say what we think. Feel free to be involved. 0344. You can see it on screen if you're watching on YouTube. 0344 499 1000. The only number you need. You can send a WhatsApp voice note on that to Ryan. He's very important. Or you can just call Jodie. She go, hello, Talk. How are you? 0344. That's crap. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Loads of people. My take from that clip, we've done that. Hello to Betty. If someone doesn't like it, so be it. Move to China or North Korea. Couldn't have it more. Talk. I have St George's and Union Jack flags in the windows on the front of my house, and they've been up for a couple of years, and no bugger's going to tell me to move it. Nan in Wales. Jez, I usually agree with most of what you say, but I'm sorry, I've bloody had enough of Zelensky and the bleeding Ukraine. Forget the Crimea, forget the Donbass, forget joining NATO. Deal done. Take the offer and stop bringing your empty hat here. We are broke. You see, that will not be popular with a lot of people, but that is something that people are starting to say. Certainly Americans who have funded this war for a long time are saying we can't do this anymore. We've got issues. I have great sympathy for the Ukrainian people, and I don't want them to be sold down the river. I fear that they could be. I fear that Zelensky might have to go as a result of that. But I do think people, I mean, look at Margaret. She says some people out there want Donald Trump to fail. I think he will get a deal. He's been focused on putting an end to this war since he was inaugurated. He is a strong and fantastic leader who wants to make a difference. Whether he fails or succeeds, is it not good that he's actually bringing people together? Andy said, my flag, Jez, has been in my back garden every day for a year, and it's stayed there for the last 10 years, and no bugger is going to tell me to move it. Heather Sewell, good afternoon. We should fly our flag and have our flag in every town and city in our country and be patriotic and be prideful. Like our allies in America, we should play our national anthem. We should be one country. We are not. Perhaps these people who are quick to take down flags could in fact use their energy on filling up bloody potholes. What's a pothole? Sorry, can't speak. Jane, thank you. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Let's go to Wiltshire. Laura, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm really well. How are you?
I'm good. What can we do for you this... Well, it's a bit overcast. It's a crap Monday weather. Oi, shh. It's a bit crap the weather today, isn't it? What's happened?
Well, you know, we have to have a little break every now and then and all the sunshine. But the last couple of weeks, the great and good presenters, viewers and listeners of Talk keep talking common sense. It's what anyone with a brain thinks. And I keep thinking, but what can we actually do? We can't wait till 2029 for these morons to be kicked out. And do you know, the majority of us all agree with each other from all walks of life, but we're well behaved. So they'd much, much rather keep a lid on us, and we don't tend to break rules. And this flag thing is just fantastic. Looking at social media, it is spreading. I put my flags up here in my little village in Wiltshire, and I hope it spreads everywhere, because this is a legal way that all of us can say enough.
I struggle. I'll tell you why I struggle with it. I struggle with, I mean, apart from the BS reasons that are given, this council, what is it, Tower Hamlets, it's because flagpoles could be a danger. Put it on a stick in your front garden, then. That's just BS. It's like the Birmingham council who said, we need to take them down because of maintenance work. These councils are governed by ideology, right? I agree wholeheartedly with what Poppy Coburn from The Telegraph said. You can fly any flag you want, right? except for ones that are promoting prescribed terrorist organisations. But if it's OK to fly the Palestinian flag, if it's OK to fly the flag of wherever, I don't know, right? Then why is it so wrong? Because we have become, as I said, a country that I don't know whether we're still trying. We have leaders who think we should be apologising. It's just that when I see Starmer on the world stage, right, and I saw an interview with him some time ago, and he said it's really important, you know, how we're seen. We're a bloody laughing stock. That's the reality, a complete laughing stock. And if it doesn't change, where does it end? Where does it end, Laura?
Well, our government is a laughing stock, but I don't think the great and good of the British people and the majority of people are a laughing stock. And we need to make our voices heard. And if this is the way we can do it. The guys in Birmingham, they're taking down flags, so they're painting the mini roundabouts. It's fantastic. This is what we need. This is just such a British way of dealing
Darren
with it.
in London, you'll have to respond to this. He says, I agree with the flags being brought down in Tower Hamlets. Let's replace them with EU flags instead.
Oh, give me strength. And the fact that von der Leyen's on her way to Washington will whoop-de-woo. But I think what we can do as Brits is actually say no and keep saying no and make sure that the quiet majority make themselves heard, Jazza. And I think the presenters that talk and leaders and people should be encouraging people to do this. If it's all we can do, it's better than just bashing our heads against a brick wall.
Couldn't agree more. Lovely to have you on. Thank you, Laura in Wiltshire. Let's go to Stratford. Sean, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon.
Jeremy, good afternoon to you. Lovely show. Enjoy it. I'm not going to stroke your ego, but I watched your TV programmes and, well, fantastic viewing. I'm 58, so I'm not too far off you. Born and bred here. Family came over Ireland in the 30s. My nan was a water gypsy. And I've been brought up to be a good, healthy, I think, you know, Englishman with a good Irish heart too. I've got 2 kids, 5 grandkids, and I was just talking to your colleague on the phone there, who's put me through to you. Basically, yeah, we know the identity's gone, but I'm scared, Jeremy, and I'm scared for my kids and my grandkids growing up in a country that I just don't I'm not going to swear, I just don't know anymore. Okay. I'm ashamed of some of the stuff. I walk around my local town, which was Rugby, and it's now Stratford, and I don't recognise it. It's lost everything about it, that traditional feeling, and people who you don't genuinely, and I'm not being rude, you don't understand anymore, and we've allowed that to happen. And, you know, with regard to the hotels and the illegal immigration, personally, I believe, and I had a great conversation with my dad, who's a strong Irishman, there's one route to this, and it'll come out, maybe not in my day, maybe many years later, that money is the route to that. That's not ending purely because of money, Jeremy. That's my feelings on it. I may be way off the mark, but someone somewhere, political or not, is making an awful truckload of cash over this. I don't know
whether it's money or it's ideology, but we are all guilty of somehow allowing to seep into almost every institution, every government body, every being. When I sit here like you at 60 and I go, so let me get this right. Rotherham rapists, right, are allowed to not only be released but go and live back in the community, and we do absolutely nothing but give them legal aid. People who abuse women on the beach in Bournemouth can be told, oh, slight aberration, you've had a hard upbringing, why don't you just stay in the United Kingdom? When I see stories about, you know, you'll be arrested for your flag, when I think of Lucy Connolly, don't condone her words, we always say that because I don't in any which way. The unfairness, and I think it's a really important word this, the unfairness is ultimately what is going to do for this political generation, in my humble opinion, because I think the British people, they're not out for kicking off, but they are losing patience with a system that says, thanks for living your life correctly, thanks for doing everything properly, you're screwed, we're going to help everybody else. Thank you, Sean. 430 0344 499 1000. I gave him the opportunity, he climbed the greasy ladder, he's now the political editor of the Sun newspaper. What a top man he is. Jack Elsom, the boss. Good afternoon, sir. How are you? Very nice to have you on, Mr. Elsom. Thank you for your time, Mr. Elsom.
Good afternoon, Jerry. Yes, it's a privilege.
Jerry, did you just call me Jerry? Did you just... Oh, my God. That used to be the worst thing you could ever say, Jerry. Oh, mate. Listen...
Sorry, it's been a long day, and I know it's a privilege that I could squeeze you into my incredibly busy day.
Yeah, you don't. You're in trouble, Elsom. You know that. Buddy, obviously, we're following the White House and what is happening. We've got a sort of timetable. European leaders to arrive at the White House 5. President of Ukraine seems to be taking the coalition of willing... Starmer and all that with him. It's an interesting one for me, this whole discussion, because on the one hand, everybody wants this war done. I've had texts from people saying, we're skint, we need to stop funding Ukraine, they have to be flexible. I've had other people saying, Trump has failed, Zelensky is going to be sold down the river in the Ukrainian people. This guy, Vladimir Putin, is a dictator and a killer, and he shouldn't even be at the negotiating table. It's quite split, the country, on this, isn't it? Do you think?
Yeah, it is, but I think that both positions could be true at the same time. You know, you can be incredibly angry with what Vladimir Putin has done, which I think most right-minded people in the West in this country are, but also be realistic about the fact that ending this war is going to probably, no matter how uncomfortable and unpalatable it is to many of those who support Ukraine, going to end up in some kind of negotiations over territory. Even Zelensky himself seems to have come to that position. Previously, absolutely, he wouldn't fathom any adjustment to Ukraine's borders whatsoever. But I think that the reporting seems to suggest that he is now open to some kind of deal, which involves, as Donald Trump puts it, land swaps. Now, that has to be fair. You can't have, as Putin has demanded, freezing the current lines in areas of the Donbass and Luhansk and Kherson, and then also see Russia take sweeping parts of other parts of Ukraine as well. And so I think it has to be done fair. I do think that Trump is a pretty neutral operator in this. He's not really on the side of Ukraine. He's not really on the side of Putin. He seemed to be a bit of a middleman who is making it his mission to try and end this war. But I think it has to be ended correctly and not just hastily. And I think that's what most people in, I think, the West are now fearing, that Trump seems so determined to get a deal over the line. He could be willing to force Zelensky into a position which he's not quite happy with.
And they'll remember they'll remember the way that he spoke to Zelensky the last time he was in the Oval Office. We can but hope that it works out. Obviously, you're far too intelligent and far too cerebrally superior to me, but I was utterly fascinated by the size of the spot on Keir Starmer's bottom lip as he flew to Washington. Have you seen it? It's utterly huge. It's something that is complete. Have you seen? He's got like a growth on his lip.
I haven't seen it.
You must have a look, and then. I'll show you the clip now. Have a watch. Come on, Jack. This is me helping you out. Have a watch. Have a listen. Here you go.
This war in Ukraine has been going on a really long time now. I mean, 3+ years. Hugely impacted Ukrainians who suffered hugely. But it's also impacted Europe. It's impacted every single family and community in the United Kingdom.
Is it his lunch,
and
do
so
you think?
everybody wants
Wouldn't it be funny if it was a raisin from his lunch, from his salad? That'd be great, wouldn't it? Just about to go to the White House and you've got your lunch on your lip. Can we bring it home, if that's OK? Because the one thing that you know I support massively about The Sun is your ability to write stories about people, about the issues that are affecting people. This flag war, as it's now being called, it seems to me to be a really defining moment. I found out this afternoon that the mayor of Tower Hamlets, Luther Rahman, was found guilty of election fraud in 2015. This is the man who says, no, we're not having this, we're having maintenance. In Birmingham, they said, no, it's a health and safety. This is absolute BS. Can you explain to me, because you would know far more than me, why am I not allowed to fly the flag of St George? Why is every other country in the world allowed to, Jack? And apparently I'm not. Why?
Yes, lovely chap, Mr. Rahman. He's got quite an interesting history, which people can go and research online. Yeah. And now this seems to be the latest, I'd say, scandal, actually, which has been coming broad in, because you're right, this flag wars, as it's become known, has taken on a life of its own. The council in Tower Hamlets followed Birmingham local authority in tearing down St George's crosses flying from lampposts over the past few days. It's pretty weasel words, really, which they have said, that it's all about maintenance and they have a right to be able to to take stuff down from their property if they want. But, I mean, come on, this is the flag of our country. It's the national flag. Keir Starmer, interestingly, today actually waded into the row, saying that he is patriotic and he genuinely supports people who want to fly the English flag.
Then why doesn't he carry out a law, or why doesn't he do something? They're quick enough to jump on, apparently, the far right. You know this is where. Why doesn't he jump on these council leaders straight away and garner a bit of support? But if he is patriotic, do something about it.
Yeah, and hopefully when he comes back from the US, he'll do just that, because that's where the country is. And if he wants to show that he really does govern for the people, then I think that he will realise the political temperature on this one is one of pretty angry astonishment.
I've never had a response to anything like this. But our listeners are livid, man, livid.
But the good thing is, I think, as a byproduct of these councils saying that you can do it, is one, open defiance, people ignoring them, but also it seems to have actually spread the message even further and spurred people saying, you know what, we're going to stick two fingers up to you, and if we want to put a flag up, then we're going to do it. And so it seems to have backfired on these councils, and I think good on these people. Is
it because, again, you'd know more than me. I mean, I've read things that they say that the Cloister St George has been, taken by the far right. That's their reason. But there's no doubt it's ideology, because there are other flags. I think you should be able to fly any flag, not a terrorist organisation, but any other flag. But seemingly it's another example, I think, of whether it's society, institutions, government, chipping away at the things that matter to average, everyday, hard-working, law-abiding, tax-paying Britons.
This is it, and I think that if the laws, or not the law, but if the behaviour was applied equally, then there wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Palestinian flags have gone up in people's gardens, and that's their right to do it. And if they want to, then fair enough to them. And if people want to fly a flag of St George, if people want to affix it to a lamppost in their communities, unless there's some massive safety issue, I don't really see a problem with it. And I think that it is probably just an excuse by these councils who want to take this down, because they probably are, a lot of them, maybe unpatriotic. I think that's a real shame in this country. You go to America, all public buildings seem to fly. The United States, stars and stripes. In this country, we seem to be losing that. But I don't actually think that's where the majority of the country is. Most of the country is pretty.
But it's really interesting as well. I said this. You'll agree with this. I know you will before I say it. You just made that point about America. Starmer and his left-wing lawyers, his trendy human rights friends, right? They're always talking about globalist, how we look, Chagos Islands, how we look, how we care, how we give, how we give, how we give. I actually think the world's looking at Great Britain going, what the hell's going on there? There's no balance in my mind, Jack. It's all pro anybody and everybody that isn't a British citizen. And this flag thing, I mean, the other story in The Sun today that I must grab you on, if it's all right, buddy, I know you're busy. A handful of backstreet factories in China are making hundreds of dinghies believed to be used to ferry migrants across the Channel. Another great investigation by The Sun. The newspaper identified workshops more than 5,000 miles from the UK where flimsy boats are churned out at discount prices. Labour has promised to smash the gangs, but the boats continue to come. I mean, it's just another extraordinary piece of work from The Sun. Another extraordinary story. What is wrong? My voice is going, Jack, I can't take much more of this. What is wrong with this place? Oh.
Yeah, well, totally, you're right. I mean, absolute flimsy discount and obviously cheap dinghies coming in from China, which we believe are basically the source of the supply for boats that are used to come across the Channel. Obviously, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Labour to be able to thwart Chinese manufacturers. China basically a law unto itself, and there's not really any pressure we could exert to stop them doing it. The most we could do in terms of actually stopping the supply, I think, is helping, national crime officers deployed across the continent, but even that's not going to go far enough. What you really need, as we've been saying for years now, is a viable deterrent to stop people coming across in the first place, because this story just goes to show how sophisticated, intertwined and ruthless these smuggling gang operations are. And if there is a market and there is demand for channel crossings, then the gangs are going to thrive no matter how much you try and
there
crack
also
down
has
on them.
to be a will politically to not down tools the first time you come across a barrier. You have to have the will to end this migration thing. And you're the political editor of the Sun newspaper, and you've told me this personally and privately and on the radio, that actually that most politicians are like, we can't do anything about it anyway. I think that's a disgrace. Again, it's not answering what the British people want. At least show me the deterrent simple. Stop making it so bloody obvious that you'll get more here than anywhere else.
Well, listen, I do think that politically, Keir Starmer and this Labour government do want to end the small boats crisis. It's very embarrassing for them, as it was for the last government. But I just think that if they really, really wanted to end it, then they just be a bit more radical, a bit more bold with their policies. They wouldn't have, basically almost a year of their flagship borders legislation going through Parliament. We've discussed it before. When British Steel was going to go under, they passed the laws through in a single day, and because they declared it a national emergency.
Absolutely.
And I think that most people think that this is a national emergency. And so it just strikes me that actually there could be a bigger sense of urgency, more radicalism in terms of trying to sort out this problem, because I think it is one of the top issues and priorities for voters at the moment. I think that voters would like to see their politicians act with a bit of impetus when it comes to it.
Mate, it's always great. Can I just say how honoured we are that you still talk to us in your exaltedly high... Look at the look! Oh, my God!
I always remember the little people, Jeremy. Don't panic. I never forget where I came from. I actually listened to a podcast with you the other day. I thought it was really good.
Thanks, mate. How are you, a beer? We'll see you soon. The amazingly excellent, talented, wonderful, nice man. He asked me to say all that. Jack Elsom on Tilt Drive, 20 to 5, 0344 499 1000. Your calls, text 87222. Loads to cram in. Zelensky and European leaders heading to the White House will keep you updated. Back in 3.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 17 minutes to 5, as the wonderful Jodie just walks in and says, I'll get you a cup of tea and a digestive. Can I just tell you that my beautiful kids, Oliver and Iris, and my gorgeous wife are away with her in-laws. I call them the outlaw. They're away in some, I don't know where they are, some camping, lodging thing. Anyway, they're watching on YouTube. Hello, just waving. Abuse your position. Keep the faith, Rob. He's 80. He thinks I'm a bit weak. Don't fly your flag, Rob. You get into trouble. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Ollie Bolly. By the way, you don't know this, Ryan. Oliver's coming to the show in a couple of weeks. He's 5.5, and you've got to look after him. Don't worry, Oliver. Ryan and you are on the same mental level. Voice note alert. We should get a voice note alert. Jack, go.
How is that man allowed to even speak in Washington? He can't even form a sentence without... He was a lawyer as well, and the head of the CPC. What on earth has this country become?
Absolutely, and if you see the clip on YouTube, I'm not being rude, I'm not being disrespectful to people who might have issues, but he looks like he's got a golf ball on the bottom of his lip. Is it his dinner? Has he got a wart? I mean, honestly... And he's top man top, according to Poppy Coburn. Oh, bless. No, not bless, you odious whatever. Here's something somebody said to me today. Do you know how you spell Kia? Right, how do you spell Kia, Aaron? What's your name? Ryan, how do you spell Kia? He's just winding me up. I before E, except after C. Keir Starmer, he didn't get that right. That's round the wrong way. Let's go. Oh, this is a new caller in Kent. Kick. Is it Kick? Kick. Good afternoon.
Kit. K-I-T. Kit.
Right, that is it. I am literally... Wait there, Kit, please. Seriously. You've put down K-I-C. You've made me look like a right idiot. Kit, good afternoon. Whereabouts in Kent, Kit?
Ramsgate.
Nice. Tim and I had a friend, we went to Kent. Never mind, doesn't matter. Have you got a cat?
No.
Because if you had, it'd be funny. Right, Kit, crack on. What you got?
I think there's the reason why the St George's Cross, the emblem of England
Yes.
is derided, or there seems to be a dislike of it by political movements.
Why?
Is because of its history and it being a Christian emblem, because it's known as St George's Cross.
What? So we're not allowed to be proud of a Christian So we're not allowed to be.
This is the thing is, when you're very inviting of many people to your place, you have to sacrifice something sometimes. Something that's singular.
But this is
enable the multiple.
Yeah, but this is my issue. This is my issue, and I have to be.
I comprehend, but this is it's been creeping along for a very long time.
Yeah.
This, and we've invited a lot of people here who are of a political persuasion that is against anything that isn't them.
Let me just say this to you. I think the bugbear for me, and I think for millions of Britons, is it's not even. I mean, I think the numbers now that are coming in are ludicrous. But my view has always been, and my father-in-law is watching this right now, and I know he'll nod, right? If you want to come to this country because your own country has issues or is flawed, I would have thought hear me out. I thought the first thing you would do would be to respect that country. But we're now at a point, right, where the millions of people that have come into this country are trying to change this country, and the people of this country are beginning to feel like second-class citizens, Kit, and I think that is the issue. But I'm really grateful. Thank you so much for your call. That's Kit in Kent. Let's go to Liverpool. Carl, how are you? Don't know why I did that.
Hello, Jezzy. You all right?
Are you a red or a blue?
I'm a red. We've had this conversation before.
All right, you don't need to start. It's been a very busy week for me, for Christ's sake. You all right, kiddo?
I'm all right, thank you very much. Well, I was until all this flag nonsense. I just can't believe that we're being told to take our country's flag down, whether it be the St George or the Union Jack. It's just disgusting. As a veteran, I just find the whole thing shambolic, and our great leader that we have leading us all into this miserable life that we lead right now hasn't got a clue.
I just, you're a veteran. You know what I'm going to say. I just really, really hate the fact that so much of what I believe in is being, I don't know, trashed. And people seem to be okay. Well, I know people aren't all right with it, but we've got a government that doesn't seem to give it to us.
Yeah, you know what, Jeremy, I mean, we've got 4 years of this, and God knows what he can do in another 4 years, considering what he's done in the year and a bit he's been in. But he just doesn't have a sense of loyalty to the British people, a sense of patriotism.
I don't think he likes Britain. I don't think he likes the British people. I think he's a globalist. He's more interested in making himself and his left-wing human rights lawyer friends look good. But there's the irony of the situation. The world's bloody well laughing at us now, man.
Yeah. You know what, Jeremy? Just going off tangent from the flags thing. You know, obviously we have, Reform are in a very strong position. They could be Nigel could be the next Prime Minister. But, gone before him was the Tories trying to deal with the immigration problem. And it goes through, they want to put these things through, but then Labour will say no. We're going to have that same problem.
Yeah.
It's not going to get fixed because things have to be voted for.
For Nigel Farage, the question is very, very simple. You can say... And I think his rhetoric is great, and I think that he seems to be addressing what the British people are concerned about. But I've had it said to me, you can't take on the blob, you can't take on institutions, you can't leave the ECHR because of legal ramifications. All I want, don't care who it is a Prime Minister or a leader to say, I am going to do everything in my power to do what you asked me to do, and I will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I will take you on a journey, and I will do my best. I hate the fact that we have politicians who don't seemingly have the guts or the verve to do anything. Don't think me rude, Carl. I have to go. Well done with the 1-0 victory. Everton, according to Jodie, are going to win the Premier League. She lives in Cloud Cocoon. And 10 to 5, we're on Tour Drive.
something that's...
Putin has convinced Trump that the main demands of Russia, which is effectively a total capitulation of Ukraine, are the terms in which he wants to end the war. There's going to be a big meeting on Monday in the White House with Zelensky, and I fear, and I'm pretty well assured, that Trump is going to present Putin's demands as the way to end the war. And of course, Zelensky can't accept those demands, and so Trump will then blame Zelensky for the war carrying on.
Got a notoriously high acquittal rate dating back decades, and I think it says more about the jurisdiction from where jurors are chosen to serve at Snaresbrook than it does about our criminal justice system. I'm a big fan of jury systems, and we've got to keep them, because if you fall foul of the law, allegedly, and you go on trial, I do not want to be tried by 1, 2 or 3 judges. I want to be tried by a jury.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome about 8 minutes to 5. I'm in trouble because I'm talking about Oliver. I haven't talked about my little princess. Iris, Rissy-Roo, I love you. She's watching. She's only 18 months. She controls the entire household. She can have anything she wants from her dad, who's as soft as anything. We say a very good afternoon. Former chair of the Defence Select Committee and Tory MP. God knows what he's doing now, but he's doing very well for us. Tobias Elwood, where are you, sir? Where are you?
At a conference in Athens, actually, where everybody's talking about not what's happening in Athens, but not what's happening in London, but what's happening in Washington, which is, I'm sure, what you're going to be talking about as well. Absolutely, mate. The timings are, I think, about 5 o'clock. We're waiting for the arrival of the European leaders to the White House, then the president of the Ukraine, Zelensky. It's going to be a bilateral meeting. I'm going to take you through everything that's supposed to happen. Can we cut to the chase, though, Tobias? You've been so excellent with us over the months and the years. There seems to be 2 schools of thought here. One is, you're no good, Donald Trump. You're going to sell Ukraine out. It's absolutely disgraceful that you even gave that dictator, the man who's wanted by the Hague, even the time of day. It was his incursion. It was what he did. Other people are saying, no. Nothing's happened. There's bloodshed. People are tired of the loss of life, the financial implications. America is doing its best to try and find a settlement. Where are you on this, Tobias?
Well, you sum it up very well indeed. It's crunch time. We remember major turning points in our past, both good and bad, that changed the course of history. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the fall of the Berlin Wall, 9/11, and today could be up there. Yep. A deal agreed by all sides that finally ends this war and paves a road to peace. Or it could be a complete train wreck with unacceptable concessions being forced upon Ukraine, handing the Donbass region to Russia, which has got 6 million people in it, by the way, and a step too far, not just for Kyiv and for President Zelensky, but for Europe as well. With the result that Trump says, well, I tried. There was a deal on the table. Don't blame me that it's failed, but I am now done. So the stakes couldn't be higher. Zelensky is back in Washington, this time with backup after those ugly meetings the last time he was there. And Trump's position has moved back and forth. It's been quite astonishing. Firstly, he said Ukraine was the problem and Russia was our friend. Then it was a NATO summit, and he said, well, actually, I agree that Russia is too aggressive. That needs to stop. And then we had the Alaska summit, red carpet treatment. We departing with nothing, no concessions from Putin whatsoever. So here we are, watching very carefully what's going on as Zelensky has that meeting, then has a subsequent meeting with European leaders. And the big question I pose is, why aren't they all in the same room discussing this, recognizing that our enemy, our adversary is Russia? Instead, there are 2 separate meetings taking place to work out what happens next. These are very dangerous times indeed.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you. And it's very interesting because we all know of Trump's ego, but he's brought them to the table. People are saying here that if Zelensky has to cede land, that will be the end of him in terms of the Ukrainian people. Others are saying, I've had messages this afternoon, which some people won't find palatable, saying, we are skint as a country. We can no longer continue to afford giving our weapons, making ourselves militarily in a less favourable position than we would be without this. But of course, we've done our bit. It's so difficult, and morally there's the issue, and of course then, as you say, about future peace. But I'm with you. We all know what Trump's like, but at least, fingers crossed. Did you agree with him meeting Putin in Alaska? In your position as the former chair of the Defence Select Committee, do you think he's right to try and get a deal done?
You know, the last time these two met was, 6-7 years ago, and the world's changed considerably. When you've got two adversaries armed to the hilt with nuclear weapons, looking in different directions, then you've got to say yes. Getting these two people around the table, obviously, perhaps is a good thing. But ultimately, these are normally crafted with a sense of choreograph. They are put together with 90% organized beforehand. This was very Trump-esque, thinking he could knock ends together and make it all work. And it hasn't happened that way because Putin is a wily operator. So you're then left with this wider consideration, this bigger geopolitical issue that Trump sees Russia simply as an adversary in Ukraine, sort it all out, and we can all go home. Whereas we know, and this comes to your point about the British public, that Putin will not stop there. If you appease the bully, as we've seen in the past, he will then further advance his interests across Eastern Europe. And that simply means more war. So do we then step up and look him in the eye and don't blink, and then ensure that Russia realizes that they're up against it?
But do you think very quickly, whereas all the people who were saying Trump's going to fold over and Putin's going to get land and Zelensky's toast, do you think that Trump's ego might go, I've changed, you can do one, I'm going to support Ukraine even more now, I'm actually going to lose my rag with Russia? Or do you think he's too concerned about that he is going to trade Ukraine?
Unfortunately, reading between the lines, I actually see Trump looking at this as a way to get out of here, because his get out clause is off ramp. As I said, the deal fails, he can get back to just doing business, a transactional business across the world, including with Russia, including with the adversaries on minerals and so forth. Not interested in Europe at all. And that is the fault line here. When you don't have America and Europe and with Britain on the same page, then global security is in a very bad place indeed.
I couldn't agree more. Very quickly, your comment. You were a serving soldier, former chair of the Defence Select Committee. There's a massive furore at home about flags. Apparently, there are councils left, right and centre across country that won't allow the St George's and UK flag to be flown because of maintenance work. The pole could come down and knock you on the head. 30 seconds. What's your take on this, Tobias? It's a bloody disgrace, isn't it?
Well, it is. You know, we've just been talking about you couldn't get bigger than the issues that we've just discussed. And the triviality of councils then having these bun fights, forgetting perhaps who we are. You know, Britain steps up when other nations hesitate. That's what we do. We've done it since the Napoleonic times. And here we are, councils, having silly arguments over what flag we should put up. It's pathetic.
Great to have you on. I hope you're not at COP83 in Athens, but enjoy the rest of it. Thank you for coming on. We'll keep you updated with what's happening as Zelensky and the European leaders are due to arrive very shortly at the White House. Donald Trump hosting meetings. Can an agreement to end the war between Russia and Ukraine be found? We'll do that. We've got Harry Cole live from the US coming next after the news at 5, which is next on Talk Drive.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. Just gone 5 o'clock. It is Monday, the 18th of August, and it's the day that the European leaders and Vladimir Zelensky arrive in Washington, D.C., armed as one, apparently, wrong words, to meet Donald Trump, the man who last week in Alaska met Vladimir Putin. He's been criticised for meeting him. Others have said he's trying to get a deal. It's a really weird setup. Because he's meeting the European leaders, then he's meeting Zelensky, not together, and we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, most people in the world would like to see a peaceful end to this, but everybody's jumping up and down. There are those who say, and as I said earlier, you should never negotiate with that war criminal. He should be, taken to prison for the rest of his life. There are other people who have contacted this show saying, we can't carry on giving this money. We're broke. America's not as well off as it was. The world's changed. Unfortunately, if you want peace, Ukraine, you're going to have to cede land, which has gone down like a lead balloon with many. We, by the way, are incredibly fortunate now to not only have a man, right, on the premises, but quite possibly the best man there is. The sound's good, the picture's not as great, but he's still looking fantastic. Editor-at-large, or just a largesse editor, Harry Cole in his new home. How are you, me old son?
Jeremy Carr, what an honour. What a day. Just when I thought I was free, you dragged me back in.
So what time is it with you?
It's midday now. We're expecting EU leaders to start arriving behind me on the other side of this building, on the south lawn of the White House, any minute now. So Keir Starmer's here, the French are here, the Germans are here, the Finns are here, the EU are here, NATO's here, everyone's here. And, we're all slightly asked the question of why. It appears that Keir Starmer's going to arrive here and then be taken to a lunch and kept out of the room while Zelensky and President Trump have their sort of rematch in the Oval Office, a very newly blinged up golden Oval Office.
Yes.
It has to be said. So Zelensky will arrive in about an hour's time. He'll have talks with Donald Trump, and then the Europeans will be let out of their buffet to find out what's happened. So if the whole point was that the EU leaders were coming to flank Zelensky, to stop him being bullied, they say, by Donald Trump, and seeing the repeat of those scenes in February, then I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that, actually.
And also, I mean, it's such a salient point, because it makes sort of any... You should have said to yourself, I mean, this man, love him or hate him, and I'll ask you your opinion in a sec about where you consider this is going to lead to. I mean, they are all dancing to his tune, aren't they? You come over here, I'll put you in a buffet, I'm dealing with him, then you, I'm having a photograph with you. It's extraordinary. I mean, it is quite extraordinary. Where do you... it's interesting reading The Sun today as well. There seems to be a two-tiered approach, excuse the pun, to this. Some people are saying, Donald, you failed, you're a gob this, you shouldn't have spoken to Putin, you're going to trade Ukraine, you're a disgrace. Others are saying he's done more in a few months than Biden did in however many years, and at least he's trying to find a solution. What's your take, Harry?
Yeah, you forget that this is a campaign pledge for the president. This is the man that said he could end this war in 24 hours. He was going to end it with a week. It's clearly bit off slightly more than he could chew with Vladimir Putin. The whole world bent their will to Trump. You know, the new Donald Trump, Trump 2.0, second-term Trump. We've seen the slightly unedifying scene of world leaders crawling here to make their acquaintance with the most powerful man in the world. Keir Starmer, when he was here in February, brandishing that letter from the King to invite Donald Trump on an unprecedented second state visit. You're right. They are dancing to his tune. It's taken a little longer, I think, for the president would have liked to get in the room with Vladimir Putin. There are, he's out on his Truth Social platform this morning saying, look, I could have solved this here today and people would still attack me. Whatever I do, the US media, the networks, they're never gonna, they don't like me. They're never gonna give me any credit. But if I can stop killing on both sides, that's got to be a good thing. And I think he's got a point. Even Keir Starmer, who was calling for a ceasefire a week ago, now saying it has to be long and lasting peace, echoing Donald Trump's lines. They, he is clearly playing a role in this. He clearly has a right to play a role in it. The Ukrainians are going along with it. It is American taxpayers' dollars that are paid for the vast majority of this war. Yes, Europe have paid a hefty price with energy prices and contributions of long-range missiles and weaponry and training, but the vast bulk of this has come from the US taxpayer, and Donald Trump's calling time on it.
No, and this is the point. I had a text earlier, pal, which basically said, listen, I have the greatest sympathy and I supported Ukrainians, but we're skinned. And actually it comes back, I think, to, we look at our country. We'll talk about a couple of things in the minute. I'm interested about your new home of DC. What's your vibe after a couple of weeks, a month, or whatever it is? Are Americans still split right down the middle, appalled by the man that is Donald Trump? Is he doing okay? What's the general feeling on the street, pal?
Look, what he calls the radical left, are never going to like this president. They're screaming their heads off every time he does something. But I think there's a vast majority of Americans, I think, give this guy a fair crack of the whip. He won the election fair and square. He won all the key swing states. He won the popular vote. This time it feels different. Donald Trump, there was an air of illegitimacy around him between 2016 and 2020 when he lost the last election. There was always sort of suggestions that he was he didn't win the election fair and square. That's all gone now. And the speed at which he's getting things done, the speed at which he's moving, he's had 4 years to think about this, 4 years to plan. It's a more professional team around him. It is a more competent team around him, and they're getting stuff done.
I was thinking.
Love him or hate him, you cannot deny he's moving fast and he's breaking things.
I was thinking about that the other day. I remember back to 2016. You talk about 2.0, and he's got more experience and he's done it. I remember somebody would be sacked or would resign sort of every 3 or 4 days, and actually there has been a consistency to the team in the last few months since he was inaugurated, isn't there?
Yeah, that comes with power in this town, right? He is clearly here. He's got 2 years. He's won the Senate. He's won Congress. He can get stuff done in the next 2 years. Yeah. Then there's the great battle to who succeed him. Who will he anoint? Who will he allow that great MAGA movement that follows him to swing in behind? So look, he's at the peak of his powers right now. He is clearly loving playing the sort of, instead of playing global policeman, trying to play global peacemaker. Yep. He keeps talking about, he helps his hand in stopping India and Pakistan going at each other, Azerbaijan and Armenia. We saw saw what he did to Iran from a great height with the B-2 bombers. So he's clearly flexing his muscles here. Domestically, look, he disputes that he's a Marmite figure, but he clearly is. But it's nowhere near the sort of Trump derangement syndrome that we saw for years. I think they've kind of exhausted themselves. And if you look at the political opposition, it's in the streets rather than in the Senate or in the House. They are, the Democrats are still punch drunk from the election. They're reeling. There's no real natural leader amongst them. Gavin Newsom in California is trying it. He's trying to sort of out Trump with these crazy tweets, but it's just a bit cringe.
Just to let you know, because you're around the other side of the building, the European leaders have left. They were at the Ukrainian embassy. They've left.
They have.
Yeah, they're at the UK. They're coming for their buffet. Do we know what's in the buffet at all?
No, Jeremy, Talk listeners and Sun readers will be the first to know what is in the buffet when we know. But
can I point out to you, as our editor-at-large, and you're live in DC, there was some footage of Keir Starmer on the plane coming over. Have you seen it?
I have, yes, indeed.
Some part of his lunch seemed to be on his bottom lip. There was a great big lump on his lip. I don't know whether he's got a massive, massive zit, or in fact, he'd left a bit of celery there, but I hope he knocks that off before It's very embarrassing, but there you go.
Well, he's doing his absolute best to avoid talking to any journalists while he's here. So if I do get the opportunity to talk to him, I will get to the
What would
bottom
your
of that.
first question? You're a ledge, you are. What would your genuine question? If he walked past you and you went, Harry, how are you? What would be the first thing that you would feel you should ask him?
Who are you? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No.
Who are you? Who are you?
Fancy seeing you here. No, look, but it's got to be peace on what terms? What is the red lines really that Zelensky and the Europeans are willing to swallow?
Yeah.
They talk about the fact that you can't achieve peace through force, but actually it's starting to look a lot like that's exactly. You can't rearrange borders by force. It's starting to look exactly what looks like the sandwich that Zelensky could be served while he's munching on his celery, as you say.
Or his anyway. Now listen, you've been in DC for a month. Are you enjoying life?
Yeah, I arrived just as Donald Trump decided to pretty much cancel summer. He's cancelled his holiday. He's sent in the National Guard. He's sent in the feds to DC. I wrote a piece.
I did read that. I thought, Jesus, Cole's only just arrived, and there's disorder on the streets. What's happening?
Well, crime is it's a pretty dangerous city. There's large parts of the city that people tell you not to come to when you arrive as a newbie, like I was. But because it's Donald Trump, obviously everyone's gone mental, and now there's the early onset of fascism. But I have to say, I feel pretty safe seeing some, large heavies in areas that normally people say you're going to get mugged in.
Well, I'll tell you something that's really interesting, because your feed, bless you, nothing to do with it, sounds great, the feed's not great. So we've just cut back to a picture of the front of the building, and the reason that I've picked this picture is there's a gentleman, obviously a military person, holding very, very stoutly the American flag. You'll know this because the Sun is right with us on this. We have flag wars in the United Kingdom. The reason I'm going to ask you this of you is because you're in the country where every single person is able to fly a flag because it's OK to be patriotic and OK to support the fact that you come from America. There's a council, you won't be interested now because you're over there, but there's a council in Tower Hamlets. Yep. The mayor, Luther Rahman, who was found guilty of election fraud, Harry, in 2015, has basically said you've got to take them down because of health and safety, because the flagpoles could fall on your head. This follows Birmingham Council saying you can't fly the Cross of St George or the Union Jack because we're doing maintenance work. I have to tell you, having done this show for 3 years, there's more anger about what's happening to our flag than almost anything I've ever done. It's disgraceful. When you're there in America and you look over here, they laugh at us, don't they, Harry?
Well, I genuinely have to say, the one thing that is really interesting being in this town and being in this country for a few weeks is the fascination people have with Britain. They have a very, very soft spot for Britain. Don't forget, the relationship between America and the UK, brothers in arms. They are asking questions day in, day out of what on earth is going on in the UK. I cannot describe to you how low our reputation internationally is. Yeah. And these aren't just, crazy Trump people. These are just normal, hardworking Americans that have picked up on so much of this stuff that's, our reputation as a nation is not in a good place.
And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because you've got a prime minister and seemingly a government and all of his left-wing mates who are, one of the cars has arrived. Oh, quick, I'll get to the... Oh, hold on.
I'm just trying to see who that is.
Well, it's in an Escalade, could be anybody. Arriving here at the White House, obviously hugely excited by the buffet. I wonder who it's going to be. This is like the arrival for Big Brother. First out the car.
It's Mark Rutte of NATO. Famously, last time he was here, he called Trump Daddy, which was pretty weird. But interestingly, you'll note that Donald Trump is not greeting the European leaders. That he's leaving that to an official. So
is that the blonde woman that nobody knew who anybody was who went to Russia?
That's his head of protocol, yes. So she will be greeting the European leaders. President Trump will meet Zelensky on the other side of the building in the main entrance of the Oval Office, which is literally about 30 yards from where I'm standing. And all eyes on whether Zelensky will put a suit on. We're told he's going to wear a suit-like jacket, possibly the one he wore to the Pope's funeral. But
hold on a minute. Can we just go back?
Sartorial standards are high.
Can we just go back? Sorry, I'm slightly concerned there. Is he called Mr. Rutter, did you say?
Mark Rutte, I believe it is. Yeah.
Oh, that's
come on,
this
is high level. This is high level diplomatic.
Is there a significance in the order, Harry?
Come on, Jeremy Carr. Yes, I presume so. I mean, obviously, Mark Rutte is NATO. Yeah. Rutte, so obviously US, the #1 bankroller of NATO, the big dog in NATO. I think, after he called him Daddy, I think him and Mr. Rutte get on quite well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the European Union next, and all eyes on to see where Starmer is in the pecking order.
Probably last.
President Trump is very keen on Giorgia Meloni, the Italian leader. I can't think why, but he's got a soft spot for her. So we will see. Just seeing the large Ukrainian delegation just arriving in the back door of the Oval Office. I can see the Ukrainian defence minister just walking in now. Lots of officials.
This is brilliant. This is like when the Pope got elected and I had like ready-made Vatican officials. Right, I can see another. This is brilliant. If you're listening on the radio, it's probably not great, but we can see another car approaching.
Sorry to radio listeners. Yeah. But I mean, there are hundreds of journalists here now. It's the busiest I've ever seen in the White House. I've been here a few times.
Right, this car isn't as big. This could be Starmer. This is a mini metro.
Could be Starmer.
Who is this?
Is that a German car? No, it is an American car.
Oh, there's a guy.
I suspect.
Next into the Big Brother house. Who's it going to be, ladies and gentlemen? We've had Mark Rutte.
It's von der Leyen. As predicted there. Look at that. See, that's the sort of searing analysis you get on Talk. Von der Leyen.
That's my God! The bloke behind us got a suit on and blue trainers. Oh my God, they don't match the suit at all. What a disgrace! You're at the White House in blue trainers, man. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, I've got my smart loafers on. Don't you worry, Jeremy. I'm not letting this down.
Let me tell you, when it comes to quality, dress, drinking, you are the man, Harry. You are. Why does Jermaine Genus keep going backwards and forwards past the camera? It's getting weird by the minute. Just back to the flag thing. It's interesting. I just want to make the point while we wait for more people to arrive. It's interesting, isn't it, that Starmer and his mates are obsessed with how we look. You think Chagos, you think about, seemingly making it right for everybody to think that Great Britain is kind to everybody, and yet there's real frustration in this country. And actually, as you said, the rest of the world's looking at us and saying, what are you doing to free speech? What are you doing to common sense? What are you doing with your borders and almost everything? And it's almost like we are not the nation that we seemingly still believe we are internationally. Would that be fair?
Yeah, and I think that links back a little bit to what you said about Donald Trump and, moving fast and breaking things. In the few months that he's been in power, 5 or 6 months, he's managed to, 8 months actually now, he's reduced crossings on the southern border to almost zero.
Yeah.
He has clamped down on illegal immigration through heavy tactics, controversial tactics, yes, but tactics that work. And even the people that didn't vote for him are thinking, oh, you know what? It's shocking to see a politician who actually does what they said they were going to do when they get elected, rather than just mealy-mouthed words. And Starmer's spokesman this morning has said that flags are very important. Right? Okay. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Bring out a law. Get your militia, who were quite rightly quick onto the streets with the far right after the Southport riots. Go and pass a law like you did with British Steel within 24 hours and deal with those councils that are blatantly doing what you say you don't agree with. Right?
Yeah, Birmingham Council tell us they're broke, but they managed to find all those green and white lights to light up the library to celebrate the Independence Day of Pakistan. But you can't fly the Union Jack on a lamppost. You and I are moderate types, Jeremy, and it's enough to drive. Try the patience of a saint.
It's really interesting as well because hold on, another car's. We're back to an Escalade now. The Europeans had a cheap car.
Given the noise of the sirens, it sounds like to me that there's a large amount of large delegations of sort of driving around the block.
Yeah.
So they arrive in order.
You can't see what I can see. There's a pile of cars waiting, and then they get a wave. Oh, I've seen the flag of St George, haven't I? Oh, I've seen the Union Jack. There's more flags. So there's more flags in Washington than there are allowed in England. Oh, this has got American on the.
So this will be Keir Starmer arriving now. So. Number 3 in the pecking order, but not the first person, but first leader, the first premier, rather than a leader of a sort of big organisation. So Jonathan Powell there. Jonathan Powell there, the National Securities Advisor, the man last seen giving away the Chagos Islands. He will be part of the delegation. So, and then in the corner of that shot there, you can see the PM's vanity photographer, as we'd like to call him, and his videographer will be there with him. So that's all they were allowed to bring. They're allowed to bring a photographer and a National Security Advisor. So,
sorry, can I ask you a question, Harry? Can I ask you a question? I'm watching a live link to Washington with you of people arriving at the White House. Our Prime Minister with a bit of celery on his bottom lip have just got out of an Escalade, right, and walked past 3 British flags and had the national anthem played. Yes?
Exactly.
Oh, we played the national anthem here. I thought you played it there. And yet in England, you can't do any of that. Right, yeah, brilliant. That's great, isn't it? I mean, you'd be arrested if you flew those flags in England, I suspect.
Come and join me, Kev. Oh, God, sorry. Look. Oh, mate. Yes, I've called you Kev. I'll just go.
You've called me Kev, Jack? Oh, sorry, I've called you Jack. Right, listen, mate, we know you're busy. We really appreciate the time. We thank you enormously. That was Harry Cole. We'll speak to you very soon. Enjoy DC. Editor-at-large in the United States. Live there from the White House. The European leaders have arrived. Apparently, it's all about, who comes first. Well, Rutte went first, followed by von der Leyen in a very small car because we don't give him as much as we did to the European Union. And Keir Starmer has just jumped out of his Escalade. I thought the national anthem was played by... No, it wasn't. Anyway, you can fly the British flag and the St George's flag in Washington, D.C., but lo and behold, if you do it in here, you're going to be arrested. I think we'll play the national anthem to the break. Can we just have 10 seconds, please? God bless you all, my wonderful people. Go.
In the New York Times and the Hollywood Reporter, they told the real story. Downgraded deal. Netflix downgrades its deal with Harry and Meghan. The New York Times says Netflix loosens its ties with Harry and Meghan. That was the true story. What this is, I mean, you know, it's almost like you or me. You know, if we've got an idea, go to Netflix, and if they like it, they'll make it. So, as I said in my monologue, there may be a small retainer involved, but essentially, what this adds up to is Harry and Meghan have just lost $20 million a year.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
5:24, we're live across the United Kingdom. I'm going to read some of these out. We've got Benedict Spence lined up. We'll keep you updated with what's happening in Washington. Zelensky is going through the front door. The European Union are going through the back door. It didn't sound right, that at all. With Starmer, he's just arrived. And what's most interesting, if you are watching, is that several British flags seen flying in Washington, D.C. Can't do that in England. Oh, we've lost all the feed. 0344 499 text to 87222. Good afternoon to Dave from Walthamstow. That used to be a nice place. It's gone to the dogs. It's a joke. Great show, JK. British and UK flags. Most people in this country are not ashamed of either flag. We've been told for years we have to be ashamed of it, and they represent all sorts of other things. They are not. They are important to us. Get off our case. There's a brilliant video, says Stephen East Yorkshire, on YouTube of a bloke in Birmingham painting the Red Cross of St George on white mini roundabouts in defiance of Birmingham City Council. It's not for me to condone, Steve, but brilliant. Could Trump become Prime Minister when he fished into President? Probably. I love all my English brothers, but you spend 30 years rampaging across Europe and UK as football hooligans and were naughty during your occupations of foreign countries. That's why you can't use the flag as you want until you get rid of right-wing nutter associates. Hence Labour trying to claim it back first. You won't read this out. You're too honest for it's too honest for your viewers, says Betty. I just read it out. It's a debate. Everybody's got a different opinion. I think we should stop being apologists and be proud. We're the people that destroyed slavery. All you people moan about all we've got wrong. Yeah, we've made mistakes. Have a look at the rest of the world. The Scots have made mistakes, the Welsh, the Irish. New Zealand, Australia, everybody flies their flag, not the British, though. We've got to be different. I tend to disagree with you massively, Betty, but that is the beauty of a democracy. What? A Texas redneck in Evesham in Worcestershire. Strange. I'm really annoyed about the flag situation. I'm a Texan who has lived in Evesham 23 years. Imagine going from windy Texas to windy Worcester. And Worcester newspaper ran an article Saturday about the 3 counties caravan motor show. What? About some show and a Liberal Democrat council saying that the Confederate and pirate flags and all the other flags were racist and white supremacist, yet nothing about the Palestinian flag. Confederate flag has a history, yes, but it's not racist. Since well as a skull and crossbones flag racist, guess the white flag of truce is now racist, says JW. Nice. Martin in Whitley Bear. I spend most of the sunny days in my summer house. Inside it's bed decked. It's got a summer house. He's posh, isn't he? Inside it's bed decked with 2 large Union Jacks, at St George's Cross and a Northumberland flag. Easy and colourful way to cover the walls. I'd recommend it to your viewers. We know who we are. Get them flags up. Nick West. I thought he was in... Never mind, I'm dribbling now. Nick West. If councils take down our national flags, we should stand against it and refuse to pay our council tax. Not something that I can condone, of course. Heather Sewell. This is a nanny state gone completely balmy with our national flag. It's not far right to be patriotic. They can sod off. Afternoon, Jez. Great to have you back, says Lee in Birmingham. My drive is currently covered. My drive is currently covered in flags. Stuff the council. Yes, I wish they would. Afternoon, Jezza. Chris from Welsh Wales. Well, what else would Welsh be? The institutions have spent nearly 30 years to make being English and nationalist a slur and far right, ramming virtuous platitudes down the nation's throat like diversity is our strength. The flag is a unifying symbol, and they can't have that. Carl Hafner. Hafner. Sounds like Hefner. He's in Richmond, which is very posh. Flags. Does this mean we cannot wear the flag of St George on our England football kit and on our cars and houses when England play in international tournaments? You'll think you're worried. I won't be able to wear it on my underpants. Tim, another veteran. Me, Carl and all veterans swore to protect God, Queen and country and our flag. No way I'm taking my bloody ones down. Lynn's in Portsmouth. Jez, I'm glad Her Majesty is not alive, and me, to see how far we've sunk. We as a nation, no flags. The royal standard, is that allowed anymore? Do you know what? It's a really interesting thing. I'm not blaming Charles for this. So I didn't like the comment the other day about no borders with France. Her Majesty would be mortified. Earl. Oh, about Starmer's growth on his lip. I have a theory, says Earl. Oh, yes? What? It's not his lunch. I reckon Macron's wife punched him in the chops. Right. Jez, with all the European leaders in America, it could be a good time for Putin to invade us. Great. Putin's at home, about to launch an offensive in Europe. If you just tuned in, that's a joke. It's 528 0344 499 1000. This man is a man for all seasons. Whenever there's a major thing happening, like the inauguration, or in fact, we're about to see some smoke come out of things as the new Pope, Pope Benedict Spence XIV is always on hand. A very good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing, Jeremy?
Well, it's television for the ages. This is sitting, watching the arrival at the one door of Zelensky, and at the other door, the Europeans who have been cajoled to go over to the White Office. They're not allowed in. They've got to go and have a buffet at the side. And then when he's finished with Zelensky, he gets put in a room and he summons the Europeans, and off they toddle. On a serious note, I'd just like your take very quickly. We seem to be split, certainly on this show. I've got people saying that he's a disgrace. Trump for talking to Putin. The guy's a war criminal. It's all about vanity. He's going to cede too much ground. Ukraine will never forgive him. Others are saying at least he's trying to do something to make it bloody well happen, because the war shed and the cost, the loss of life, and the cost is now just beyond stupid and ridiculous. Thoughts, my friend?
I'm in the latter camp. It's too late. I don't think enough people realise this, that it is too late, that there was a moment in time where Ukraine could have won back some of the territory that was taken from it, perhaps not all, not Crimea, that was gone in 2014 and never coming back, but there was a period in time where they could have won more back, and it is largely down to the uselessness of the same European politicians who are currently there right now, that is partly why, the wringing of hands and the dragging of feet saying, oh, no, you can't possibly give them these missiles and these tanks, and even if they do get them, they can't possibly use them against Russian forces over the border. This idea that they had to uphold this fantasy of the international rules-based order whilst fighting a military power that doesn't give two hoots about the international rules-based order. That actually was the moment several years ago. They lost that opportunity. They're there now to say, well, we have to stand up for Ukraine and we have to put European interests first. The reality of the situation is Ukraine's fate is being decided by Russia and America, and the Europeans, they're just there for the photo op.
Really interesting. We're going to keep those pictures up. We've seen Mark Rutte. I don't know if that's right. Rutte. He's arrived. He's the one who called... Harry Cole was brilliant if you're listening. He's the one who called Trump daddy. He got out the car first. Von der Leyen, who's obviously lost the English money because we left the European Union, she arrived in a rather smaller car. And then Sir Keir Starmer arrived. Did you know that Keir... Do you know how he spelled Keir? Do you know how he spells Keir, Benedict?
How he spells it?
Yeah.
K-E-I-R?
Yeah, but it's I before E, except after C, and C's not K. So he can't even spell his name correctly. That's how round the wrong way he is. Anyway, he arrived in an Escalade with Jonathan Powell, that was exciting, and a photographer, and we played the national anthem. But here's the irony. Because we'll watch that, we'll keep that car. Oh, there's another car. Oh, Benedict, this is hugely exciting. Next in the European leaders' big brother house already, we've got Mark. He's from... Where's he from? He's from anyway, we've had Keir from London. Who's next in the politicians?
It's the Finnish leader.
How do you know it's the Finnish leader?
Because I think it's got the Finnish flag on the front.
See, I need you see. Where do you think this leader will finish in the celebrity Big Brother house?
Dark horse, because nobody knows anything about
He needs a bit of Botox. Look at his face. Dreadful.
Yeah. He's had a difficult year.
What's his name?
I don't know, to be fair. I don't know who he is.
He's the Finnish leader. Nobody knows his name. He needs Botox. But actually, I'm already getting a rush of bets on Keir Starmer winning Prime Ministerial and Presidential Celebrity Big Brother. The thing that got me is, oh, hold on, there's another man. Now, that's a very poignant picture. I know you're not watching. If you're listening on the radio, I'm going to paint the picture. We've got a camera outside the White House. So we're waiting to see the leaders come in. And I can see clearly... the English flag. I can see the UK flag and I can see the Cross of St George. Now today, and I've got to tell you, you've been talking to me on this station for 3 years. I don't think I've seen more anger amongst my 11 listeners as there is over flag fury. This started in Birmingham, Benedict, where they refused. The council basically said, you can't put up those flags, those Union Jacks, because we're doing maintenance work. And everybody went, what a load of old tosh, you're being idealistic. Today, the mayor of Tower Hamlets, one Luther Rahman, who, by the way, was found guilty of election fraud in 2015. Yeah. Google him. Dodgy. Probably sue me. Couldn't give a toss. He's decided you can't fly in Birmingham flags because it's routine maintenance, and it could be that your pole falls down, don't say anything, and you get injured through health and safety. I honestly, genuinely am going to be serious. I think it is an utter bloody disgrace. I hate the fact that we have got to a point where we are seemingly the only nation in the world, Benedict, that won't get away, that won't allow its people to be proud of who it is. And Harry made a really good point. All these globalist left-wing human rights people who care about how we look, Harry said, the stock of Great Britain in America has never, ever been lower.
Oh, that's true, and it's entirely self-inflicted. Yeah. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it, that in Birmingham they lit up the City Library in the colours of the Pakistani flag to celebrate Pakistan Independence Day. The entire building lit up, but you can't fly the Cross of St George. I mean, it's ironic in some ways. I actually tend to think that the British should celebrate things like Pakistan Independence Day and Indian Independence Day, because these were the days that supposedly these countries stopped being our problem, but yet somehow they are still our problem, and we have to actually sort of put up with all of this nonsense. And the fact that you see everywhere in so many parts of this country, places like Birmingham, places like Bradford, entire boroughs of London, you will see the Palestinian flag being flown absolutely everywhere. On city buildings all across this country, you will see the Ukrainian flag being flown. But as you say, that little act of rebellion, that little act of defiance, and it is insane that it is an act of rebellion, rebellion or defiance, of flying your own nation's flag, well, suddenly all the petty bureaucrats come out of nowhere and they go, oh, health and safety, this and this regulation.
Oh, hold on, is that another car or is the feed wrong? Oh, I'm having a nightmare here. Hold on, who's getting it? Well, I've got 2 television screens. We're not going back to the... Who's this? Oh, no, that's the one that... Right, forget that. God, Sky are an hour behind us. How rubbish. Right, no, that was the finished one. Forget that. No, we're still waiting. I'm sorry, I can't... No, but what I would say about what you said, self-inflicted, yes, but it sets yet more people like me thinking, where does this end? That you can't seemingly be even proud or able to fly. Why is it always us? And do they understand the extent, right, of anger and frustration that increasingly the British people feel? It's like, come to our country and tell us everything that's wrong and make us change stuff. No, accept who we are. Sod off.
Yeah, it's because the political and media elites and great swathes of the upper middle classes of this country have drunk the Kool-Aid to an extent that simply no other country has. They've bought all of this sort of post-Cold War ideas about empire and about the evils of the white man and what we have done and all the things that we owe to different people. This is a lot of this stuff actually comes from the United States. We're downstream of it, but the point is actually in the United States, as we've seen in the last couple of years by the fact that Trump is the president, there is a very strong, robust, assertive political right in that country. It actually believes in the country. It is patriotic. It believes in God and lots of things that we don't believe in this country so much anymore on a grand scale. We're not patriotic. We're not religious in that same way. We're rather meek. We're rather timid. The Conservatives want to make friends with the people that hate them fundamentally. That's the difference. In the United States, they had a bulwark against that kind of nonsense, which was a sense of patriotism. In this country, it has just evaporated. It's
but what I'm saying is we can talk about that. I think it's a disgrace. I'm going to make you laugh now. Do you think that Donald Trump is calling the shots about this whole thing? Yes or no?
In Ukraine?
Well, everything today. I mean, look, the European leaders, they're going through one door to a buffet, a sausage roll and probably a slider.
Yeah.
Honestly, Zelensky's going there. We've just got this breaking news. The White House has confirmed that it's has asked Zelensky to wear a suit for his meeting with Donald Trump. Genuinely, they're now telling him what to wear.
I think a lot of this is being staged managed by the White House, but they're doing it with the understanding that actually the Russian conditions for any deal is not going to change. The Russians have demanded certain bits of territory. They're not going to give them up. They don't have to give them up, is the reality, because here's the thing. The US isn't going to put troops in Ukraine to stop them, and the Europeans are even weaker than the Americans. They're not going to do it. They're never going to do it. So what the Russians say they want is what is going to happen. And I suspect that is going to be forced onto Ukraine. And it's not going to be Donald Trump, actually, that is calling the shots. It is Putin. But that's not because Trump is a Putin's shill or any of this sort of thing. It's because Russia has won. That's the reality of the situation. All of this, though, this pageantry, this is being called by Donald Trump because he needs to be able to appear to have got the win.
Or he was saying on Truth Social, I had a go. Harry Cole says if he doesn't get the answer, he'll walk away and say, I tried my best.
I think that there is a lot of truth to that. I don't think there's anything he could have done differently. No. As I say, this war has been done for a long time. Actually, this happened under the Biden administration. It happened on Biden's watch, and it was finished on Biden's watch. The great big pushback, the spring offensive that the Ukrainians fumbled, that was done on Biden's watch. All the talk about giving the weapons to Ukraine, all on Biden's watch. Not just to blame Joe Biden. The Europeans, this is a first world economic and geopolitical trading bloc, has been sat there for over a decade now, since the first invasion in 2014. They've done nothing. They've done nothing at all to remilitarize, to wean themselves off Russian oil. Actually, they have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, look, Europe is weak. Europe is as much responsible for this because the Russians knew the Europeans aren't going to do a thing to stop us.
Before I let you go, Europeans arriving in the US, help me out. I know Starmer, I know von der Leyen, I know Macron, I like Meloni. Merz is the German one. Reuter's the one that called him daddy. Who's Stubbs? I thought Stubb was a Celtic defender. Who's Stubb?
I don't know, Maps. That's the Finnish.
That's the Finnish bloke. Oh, hold on. Before we let Benedict go, another car. Fifth into the Big Brother celebrity, Big Brother prime ministerial presidential house today. Who's coming out?
This is Friedrich Merz.
This is the German. There he is. There's the German man being met not by Trump. He can't be asked. This means here's a slight irony. I'm going to watch. I'd like to see Benedict's face as I say this. I also want to see Ryan's face. Can we cut back to Benedict, please? Thank you very much indeed. So that means that the French are last in.
There we are.
Yeah. Sat on the fence, and now they've decided to come in at the last minute. Macron will be last. Benedict, thank you so much indeed. 20 minutes to 6 o'clock. Benedict Spence, Conservative commentator. So they've all been herded into the White House, all the European leaders. The French are last. Yeah, work it out yourself. They're having a buffet. They're having sliders and sausage rolls with a bit of relish. The other end, Zelensky, this is how stupid this has become. The White House has asked Zelensky to wear a suit. His spokesman has countered with it'll be in military style. So I don't know, what's he going to wear? A two-piece camouflage jacket? I don't know what it means. They're talking about that. The Europeans are trying to find some common ground, and we'll be back in 3 on another exciting instalment of Talk Drive. Ta.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Mate, the legend that is Mike Graham, back tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, Morning Glory, the only way to wake up, Monday to Friday. It is a truly astonishing run through what's happening. It's honestly, if you haven't listened or watched, where the hell have you been? It is proper quality breakfast. Morning Glory with Mike, back in the morning. We're still watching. It's really exciting you as an audience, almost as much as it's exciting me. The French are just to arrive at the White House. When we've done the arrivals, what are we going to do? We're going to sit and watch Zelensky arrive in his military suit? Then what are we going to wait for? Honestly, I've watched paint dry, dear listener, that's more exciting. 0344 499 1000. Although I should be very enthusiastic. It could achieve peace. Whatever. I want to know what they have at the buffet and whether Starmer's going to leave any on his top lip. Let's go to Halifax, not in Nova Scotia, up north. Andrew, welcome to Talk Drive. How are you?
Hello there, Jeremy. All right.
By gum, stick no don't. Crack on. What you got?
Well, it's interesting. When I first went to Northern Ireland in 1994, the Troubles were still on then.
Yeah.
And it was just before the Loyalist marching season. And I remember the roads were festooned in Union Jacks. And as somebody with Ulster heritage, it took a tremendous amount of pride in that. But I remember when I came back and several people asked me, why do they fly all these flags in Northern Ireland? It's absolutely ridiculous. You'd never get that here. And I said, well, the reason why is because Unionists in Northern Ireland think with a considerable justification that their national identity and their country is under constant threat. I said, and if that ever happened to be the case in Great Britain, I said, you'd get people flying the flags with just as much relish as they do in Northern Ireland now. And 30 years later, that is exactly what is happening. When people feel their national identity and their country is under threat. I mean, I've just come back from Malton. I was driving around the York Ring Road, and the York Ring Road is festooned in St George's flags. It reminds me of the Newton Ards Road in Belfast with the Ulster banner.
I don't buy this. Listen. I have no time for the far right, but it's becoming something that people throw out. He did it after Southport, Starmer. It's interesting, I mean, this story and the mayor of Tower Hamlets, Luther Rahman, a man, by the way, just thought I'd drop this in, who was found guilty of election fraud in 2015, has said that, you know, in the Tower Hamlets area, because of routine maintenance and health and safety, you cannot fly a flag. I'm not even here to say I'm happy for anybody to fly a flag, not a prescribed terrorist organisation, by the way, but actually what I loathe so much is that apparently we're so apologising for almost everything in our lives, and I think it's fundamentally wrong, and I it's one of those things, you know, it's one of those things that you can really get the sense, as you quite rightly said, that people are going to kick back. I've got to move on. It's great to have you on. Very quickly in Hampshire, Laura Jane, you're on Tour Drive. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I've just been cycling through with my dogs. Almost every other house seems to have a flag, and I'm stopped in front of one with a St George's flag. I'll be going back into Stockbridge, and all the way along there are British flags. Going to America, every child in a school in America every morning stands in front of their flag with their hand on their heart singing the Star Spangled Banner. Perhaps we should bring that back into our schools.
It's quite interesting if you turn it round, Laura, if you turn it round, these ridiculous council leaders, the mayor of Tower Hamlets, Luther Rahman, and the guy in Birmingham who said it as well, maybe they're going to have the reverse effect of what they actually wanted. Maybe this is going to wake up people's minds to how unfair and how ludicrous this whole situation is. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I certainly, living in the countryside, I do see flags everywhere. You know, you go through these tiny villages, as I'm doing right now, and there's a St George's flag hanging out of a huge, you know, it's practically bigger than the house. And it's everywhere. So
how are you cycling?
I really do.
How are you cycling with your dogs?
So I have a very big box on the front. It's a Dutch bike. You see them in London with these yummy mummies going around with their children to school. And it's a tricycle with a great big box, and I've got 4 small dogs in the front, and we go all the way around to our various walks, and that's because I don't drive, so I go around like that.
You've got 4 dogs in a box on the front of a bike?
Yeah, but it's massive, the box.
I'm sure you're
massive.
Oh.
You look them up.
Well, listen.
Babu.
Good luck with the dogs, and good luck with the box. And we appreciate you phoning the show, Laura Jane in Hampshire. What is it? 13 minutes. Oh, I've got to be on time. Ryan's going to get angry. I've got 10 seconds to tell you. Sun Sport is next. OK, the sport with Sean Custis, head of sport and studies, next on Talk Drive. We're coming right back.
In the New York Times and the Hollywood Reporter, they told the real story. Downgraded deal. Netflix downgrades its deal with Harry and Meghan. The New York Times says Netflix loosens its ties with Harry and Meghan. That was the true story. What this is, I mean, you know, it's almost like you or me. You know, if we've got an idea, go to Netflix, and if they like it, they'll make it. So that, as I said in my monologue, there may be a small retainer involved, but essentially what this adds up to is Harry and Meghan have just lost $20 million a year.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Back 10 to 6, we're live across the UK. This is Talk Drive. Jeremy Carchill, 7. Delighted now to be joined by Sean Custis, head of sport at The Sun. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good, thanks.
He delivered. Rubbish to you saying. He delivered the greatest line ever off air. Because I, as you all know, have great friends in Geordieland, and they're all mad Toon Army fans like you are. And because my team, West Ham, were battered on Saturday by Sunderland, he said for one dreadful moment Sunderland were top.
They were top for 2 hours until Man City thankfully scored 4 against Wolves, so the goal difference was better for Man City. So that was a relief to us all.
West Ham were dreadful, mate. Great to have you.
They were.
Very good. Loads and loads going on. Talking Newcastle, the Alexander Isak situation. I was watching Alan Shearer talking about this on Match of the Day. He's effectively down tools, refusing to train, refusing. Yeah. I know, because I was up there last week, this man's gone from hero to pariah.
Oh, the worm has turned, Jeremy, in a big way.
Oh, mate, pariah.
Definitely. I haven't got time for him anymore, but we'd still love him to stay. That's the truth.
Would you, though? Do you think he could be reintegrated?
Yeah, I do. I do. You get September the 1st, what's he going to do if he hasn't moved in the transfer window? The irony, of course, is that Johan Wisser at Brentford is pulling an Isak in order to try and get to Newcastle. Yeah. So Newcastle have bid for Wisser today.
How much did they bid?
35 million. Yeah. Brentford want more than that. Wisser's taken all references to Brentford off his Instagram page because he wants to get to Newcastle, so he's doing what Isak's doing to Newcastle.
And Newcastle will buy him, so is it a slightly dubious...
Absolutely.
But Shearer said, which I thought was interesting, you take, my mate Rob as well, last week said, we take 120 million and buy 3 quality players at 40 million each. He's a world-class striker, but I don't know. It's
but I think we're locked in now. We've put down the marker. I say we, sorry, forgive me. That's my team. That's my team. Yeah. We've put down the marker. We've said it's 150 million. I want us to stick to that. I really do. I want to say no. It's
do you think the Saudis are brave enough to put Alexander Isak in the reserves or with the juniors for 12 months? They're rich enough to.
Clubs never do that
anymore.
They don't. You know, it used to be the old story, didn't it? He could rot in the reserves if he wants to move. They don't do that anymore.
Because it's money and player power,
I would hope, though, that they're brave enough to say it's 150 million. We're sticking out for this. We told you what the fee was at the start when Liverpool were putting in that derisory 110 million pound
derisory. What are they buying for? 60?
And they know what the deal was, and they have got to come up with the money for me, otherwise it's not good enough.
Johan Wisser, as you say, 35 million Newcastle have offered. They'll still need more than Wisser, won't they? I mean, you know.
And
because we've got Callum Wilson at West Ham and he's great.
It was a bit of a difficulty, that one. We found it, Callum Wilson was constantly injured. When Callum Wilson was fit, as we saw even when he played for England, he's a good striker, but you're not getting a fit Callum Wilson anymore.
Let me ask a Geordie, because they are my second. Let me ask a Geordie fan, Sean Custis from The Sun. How pathetic were West Ham on Saturday? I thought they were absolutely...
Yeah, they were really poor. I didn't expect Sunderland to do what they did, I must admit. I mean, that was quite a statement from a club that's just been promoted. Full house, obviously they're on a bit of a high.
I think at 13 million, the greatest piece of business in this transfer window is Granit Xhaka. I think that's unbelievable business for Sunderland. You know what I mean?
Good. You consider, though, the way at Arsenal, the fans weren't having him towards the end, even though he played pretty well, I would have said, just before he left. They weren't having him, and he comes back now. For him to be in a team with a win like that, he must have loved that.
Absolutely.
Fair play to him. However, Saka doesn't think Arsenal were very good on Sunday.
Arsenal yesterday, I mean, you must hate Man United as much as I do. Amorim goes, we looked good, but you lost again.
Why do I hate Manchester United as much? Yeah, I don't know. I'm ambivalent towards Manchester United. I lived in Manchester for 4 years. I've some good friends who used to play for Manchester United, so no, I don't dislike them that much. But I'm a bit like you. Stories when Man United are losing are pretty amusing. Yeah. And yesterday, they actually played reasonably well and still got beaten. Saka today has come out saying, we were sloppy, we were poor, it's not good enough, we'll have to do a lot better than that. So what does that say to you about Manchester United? Apart from the fact, they just cannot get it together under Amorim.
It's all like a process which goes on. Not a great friend of mine, but Gary Neville was saying on his podcast today, they unequivocally need a new goalkeeper. And Anna wasn't even in the matchday squad. There was a mistake, and Amorim stuck up for Batia. But actually, they're talking about Emi Martinez and getting a really strong man in that position.
He's a strong man. Look, he does make the odd mistake, but there's no doubt that Martinez is an upgrade on anything they've got there. Donnarumma, who gets a suggestion from Wayne Rooney today, Donnarumma is leaving PSG for a reason. The reason is PSG don't think he's good enough. So why would that be helpful to Man United? Not great with his feet, not great with crosses, pretty good shot stopper, but only 1 out of 3.
They did let Dean Henderson go, by the way.
They did let Dean Henderson go, and Dean Henderson didn't like it. Dean Henderson thought that he should have been Man United's #1 and pushed for it, but he never got his way. He's doing pretty well for Crystal Palace. He could end up as England's #2 goalkeeper,
By the way,
probably in the end.
All of my family are Chelsea fans, so I hate them as much as I hate Manchester United. That was the most bizarre reason to disallow that VAR goal, Crystal Palace. What a stunning goal by Eze, and I didn't even understand it.
But lots of people saying that that's been this has been the rule for 3 years. And
have you ever heard it before?
No, I haven't heard it before, and I also haven't seen a goal disallowed for that. But apparently it's been there for 3 seasons, but nobody knew it. Me, managers, coaches didn't really know it. But now we do. We all know about Law 13 now. That is, you can't stand next to another bloke in the wall. You've got to be a metre. You've got to be a metre away.
You've got to be a metre away.
You've got to be a metre away from your opponent.
Tonight on talkSPORT, by the way, just to drop that in, Leeds back in the Premier League. This will be really interesting, right?
It will.
Leeds at Ellen Road against Everton. Now, I'm going to say the wrong thing, probably. I think I rue the day that David Moyes. I hate all the West Ham fans.
He hates a lot of things, don't
No, but the West Ham fans who went, oh, it's boring.
Yeah.
David Moyes did a fantastic job at West Ham. I was gutted when he went. I think he'll do a great job this season, strangely, with Everton. I think Grealish is the signing, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin left Everton, no contract, and talk about injury-prone. Yeah. He's at Leeds. That's a bit feisty tonight, right?
He is a bit feisty, but Calvert-Lewin's got a lot to prove. He wasn't scoring any goals for Everton. Everton didn't make any attempt, really, to keep him. They know that he wasn't producing, so he's got a lot to prove at Leeds. And Grealish has a lot to prove for himself. Not necessarily Everton. It's interesting what you said about Moyes there, because this is not really a Moyes pragmatic sort of signing.
Absolutely.
This is Grealish. Hey, let's give you the ball and see if you can make Everton exciting.
I was amazed. I'm with you. He's more like a Ward-Prowse. He's more like a contained. Everybody at West Ham was saying, "Oh, you've just won defensively," but he won a European trophy. But yeah, Grealish is. But I think he'll be given freedom
and where
to
play him. This is the thing. He was confined to the left at Manchester City. I think at Everton they might play him behind the front 2 in that role in number 10, where he doesn't have to beat the fullback, but he can create. And I thought when he did it for Manchester City, he looked good, but he never really got the chance to do it.
Any idea why that things went south there? Because he was the golden boy, 100 million. He was part of the. Well, what happened?
He never got to play where he wanted to play, which I think was more centrally. He also, the rule was you don't lose the ball. That's the rule at Manchester City. Grealish is not the type of player, really. He wants to take a few risks. He wants to try his skills. He wants to beat the fullback, but he needs somebody backing him up if he's going to try and beat the fullback. Probably didn't have the pace, the outright pace to skin a fullback, but he does like his tricks. He does like to create, and he didn't have that freedom.
Got some legs on him as well, my wife says as well, to be fair. Some calves on him, hasn't
he? Yes, he has.
Very quickly, Tottenham captain Cristiano Romero signed a new long-term contract. This is the new captain of the club, which is good news. I'm going to ask you, because you're a legend, and I'm being very nice.
That right? Yes. Thank you too, Jeremy.
Sean Custis, head of sport at The Sun. Who's going to win the Premier League? He says it's gritted teeth.
No, it's not going to be Sunderland. I think it might well be Liverpool, because although they weren't that convincing on Friday night, they've got so much firepower.
Will they get Isaac from Newcastle, do you think? Do you think that'll be a done deal? Do you think that happens or not?
I'm on the fence. I think there's a chance he could still stay, but I may be proved wrong, but I think there's a chance he can still stay.
Are West Ham going to be relegated?
People say that every year about West Ham, though, don't they, Jeremy? They always say, "Oh, West Ham, not like the
not under Moyes, they didn't. Not for 4 seasons, they didn't."
I think probably not, because if it does start to go a bit awry, Potter will go, and they'll get in somebody who keeps them up.
And finally, and it's great to do it with The Sun. Thank you. Our producer Ryan is a massive Watford fan. Appalling football club, aren't they? Really.
Why do you think
they sack people They sack people more.
But I quite like. I'll stick up for Ryan here. I quite like them as a community club. We always spent a lot of time at Watford when my son was younger, and they used to be really encouraging to families and kids. So I like them from that point of view.
Can I just say that
I don't like the way they keep getting rid of managers.
Can I just say it's no wonder that you are so popular. You are nice to everybody. Are you back here tomorrow?
I could be. Who knows? Do you want me back tomorrow?
Yes, I want you here. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You should show your loyalty. Sean Custis, thank you very much, Head of Sport. That perhaps gives you time now. Do you want to play? How long is your sting? Give me some idea. How long is the sting? Do you want to play it now? Play your sting. OK, goodbye.
Sports news from The Sun. Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Sean Custis, Head of Sport at The Sun, will be back tomorrow. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm dribbling. It's an age thing. So hugely exciting today. It turns you into excitement, this whole European Washington, D.C. White House thing. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is pulling the strings of almost everybody. We've had the arrival into the presidential celebrity Big Brother house of a variety of European leaders. First up came Mark Rutte, who in fact called Donald Trump Daddy, which is why he probably went first. Von der Leyen, she came in a much smaller car because they'd stopped having money out of the Brits. Some bloke from Finland who needs definite work on his face, followed by Keir Starmer. We played the national anthem, he didn't. Interestingly, more flags in DC of the Union Jack than there are in the United Kingdom. Anyway, they've gone in one door. Try and be excited. I think it's the back door. Don't say it. They're going for a buffet. Not sure what's in the buffet. Could be a slider or two. No idea. In a minute, very imminently, Vladimir Zelensky will come to the front door. Unbelievably, right? And this is, I'm not even making this up. He's been requested by the White House to wear a suit. His designer has countered with, I shall be wearing a military suit. I don't know what the hell that means. Is he going to come up in a three-piece camouflaged with a waistcoat? No idea. But anyway, we're going to bring you that. The weird thing about this meeting is he's seeing Zelensky without the Europeans, but the Europeans were coming to hold Zelensky's hand. Then he's going to see the Europeans without Zelensky. Then he's going to have photographs of both of them, and then he's sending them on their way. We'll keep you updated. We are delighted to be joined now. This young lady Let me tell you something, right? This is true. When I am long gone, this lady is going to be gracing your screens and your radio. She's fantastic. Chloe Dobbs, political commentator and lover of dogs. So much so, she's having a dog castrated this week. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
How can you do that to the poor dog?
Well, the problem is he wheezes on everything because he wants to mark his territory, so...
Literally wheeze everywhere.
Well, not in the house.
That's what I need doing. I need castrating because, no, I'm joking. I have no control over it. Welcome. So we're very excited. I mean, this is a massive moment, isn't it? On a serious note, I want to say something that Harry Cole said earlier. Seriously, for a minute. We seem to be split in this country between this is all about your ego, Donald Trump. Ukraine is going to have to cede land. It's not fair. This is a disgrace. So I think we can see a car arriving. This might be Zelensky. And the others who say at least Donald Trump's having a go and he's done far more than others. What's your take on this?
I think that it's a very complicated situation and Trump was a bit naive to think, oh, I can finish this war in what he said, the first day or the first week of office.
Campaign promise, though, got to try.
Yeah, both Putin and Zelensky have very hard lines, and he didn't manage to get a deal finalised with Putin last time. But I think if anybody is going to be capable of negotiating a deal to end this war, it's Donald Trump. I mean, he is the master of making deals.
Poppy Coburn said that he will say, if he doesn't get it, I tried, I'm walking away, I said I would try and do it. But the truth of the matter is there is a lot of... What I find really interesting is Zelensky's car, I think, is arriving, but we'll keep you updated. I think what's really fascinating is that actually the country, I thought more people would be offended by the fact, seemingly, that Ukraine is going to have to cede some land. There's a lot of people, Chloe, and it's called war fatigue, saying, listen, we've been funding this, the Americans have been funding this, everybody's skint, there has to be a peace because there's no more to be given. That's quite an interesting point of view as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be pragmatic, and it is such a toxic debate, this, because anybody who says, look, Ukraine, they're probably going to have to give something up. They say, oh, you're a Putin sympathiser, you're sympathising with this horrible dictator. I mean, look what happened to Nigel Farage when he tried to explain some of the reasons why Putin invaded. He wasn't saying he liked Putin or he supports him, but then all of the media went crazy saying Nigel Farage is a Putin sympathiser, and so it's really difficult to actually have a normal, honest conversation about this. I think Zelensky needs to be a bit more compromising. I mean, Putin as well, they need to come to...
Surely if he has to cede land, he's toast, isn't he, Zelensky, at home, genuinely?
Well, that's the thing, is I think it is personal to him, and same with Putin, is Putin's reputation is potentially also going to be toast if he gives up this war without actually having... He needs to be able to paint it as having been a success at home.
Somebody once told me a long time ago that business is simple. Everybody has to leave the table thinking that they've got something from the meeting.
Yeah.
And if that is achieved, then maybe nobody likes the war, nobody likes the thought of the war, the cost, the human struggle, all of those things. But there is that thing called war fatigue, and people are suddenly saying, hold on a minute, we really, you know...
But I mean, if Zelensky was there just negotiating for what is best for Ukraine, you know, they've had so many soldiers die. I mean, they have had to field in so many guys. I mean, same on the Russian side, so many young men just dying in droves. People are so focused on the death toll in Gaza that they've forgotten what's going on in Ukraine and how many people's lives are just being lost.
I wonder how much of Donald Trump thinks...
But if Zelensky is looking at this from a completely selfish perspective and thinking, oh, I don't want to get turfed at the next election, then he's going to have this really hard line where he says, we will not give up anything. But nothing's going to happen if he doesn't make any concessions.
It seems, you know, I will look at all sides. It does seem remarkably unfair that he seems to be holding the cards, Vladimir Putin, when he in fact invaded a sovereign territory. Trump ruling out Ukraine reclaiming Crimea or joining NATO ahead of the meeting. I mean, you'd have to feel, if you're Zelensky, that at this moment in time it feels like the cards are stacked against you. But something Benedict Spence said, the European leaders that have cozied up to Trump and gone there, this should have been sorted a long time ago, and they didn't either give Ukraine enough or tell Ukraine to step back, and that's why we're at where we're at.
Yeah, I think that one problem is the fact that people and European leaders haven't been willing to recognise why this war started in the first place. You have to understand, I'm not saying that Putin was justified in invading, but you've got to understand what his motives were and why he did that. And this is what Nigel Farage was trying to point out, how we say poked the bear, to use his words, by, for example, moving NATO eastward, something that really upset Russia because, you know, when they had that Iron Curtain, the idea was, no, we're going to make those countries independent, but we won't creep eastwards with NATO. If you then start saying, you've got European leaders and various other people saying, oh, we need to make Ukraine a member of NATO to end this war, I'm thinking, are you stupid? Do you think the Russians are going to agree to that? No. They don't understand what Russia's motives were in coming into this war, because they just say, oh, he's a horrible dictator just invading for the sake of it. He's just greedy and wants land. I'm not saying he's not greedy and that he was justified, as I've said. But you need to understand it, and they just don't get it.
Completely agree. We'll keep you updated. Now, this is very interesting. I'm sorry, it's not very interesting at all, but I've got to do it. It's 6:10 and Zelensky hasn't arrived. Now, that's going to hack Donald... He might be on his way, but Donald Trump is not going to be impressed that he's 10 minutes late.
I thought 6:15 was the.
Oh, hold on. Have I been given duff information? And Chloe.
I read 6:15.
No. The president no.
Or
no,
is it
Miss
greet
Dobbs.
at 6 and the meeting
6 o'clock,
starts
the
at
president
6:15?
greets the president of Ukraine. 6:15, the president participates in a bilateral meeting with the president of Ukraine.
Oh dear.
Or
well, that's not a good start.
He's had to go back and change his suit. That's what's happened.
I did think that was hilarious last time he came, when he was mocked for not wearing a proper outfit. I know that's his style, but I mean, you're meeting the president of the United States. Why are you wearing a T-shirt?
Yeah, I thought there were a more important thing. I don't know. I just I don't know. I think
it's quite basic. I mean, it's pretty normal.
You don't just turn up in a T-shirt. You've made a real effort today, haven't you?
I remember seeing you. When was it the other day? You told Russell Kirkhoff for wearing a tight T-shirt in your studio.
Russell Kirk shouldn't wear a tight T-shirt. It's disgraceful. Now, Chloe, the interesting thing for me as we wait for Vladimir Zelensky to arrive is you can see, certainly the pictures, some of the pictures, you can see more Union Jack flags in Washington, D.C., around the White House than you can in England. This is an astonishing story, which will be able to give you the full Dobbs style. Listen to this, peeps. Although Keir Starmer has said that he absolutely supports people who want to fly the English flags, the mayor of Tower Hamlets, one Luther Rahman, who, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, was, do you know he was discovered to have committed election fraud in 2015?
Yes, I read that.
Of course, has thwarted the campaign. He's basically said you can't put up flags in Tower Hamlets in the East End of London because we're doing essential maintenance work and there's a health and safety perspective that the poles could fall down and land on your head. So they're all banned, but we're all right to fly Palestinian flags and lots of other flags, and everybody should be able to fly a flag unless it's a terrorist organisation. This is on the back of Birmingham. Their city council said we can't have any Union Jacks or St George flags because we're doing maintenance work. This is I don't think anything has annoyed my viewers and listeners more.
Oh, it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the double standard. I know technically you can say, oh, that lamppost, you don't own it, you can't put what you want.
What about off your house?
That should be absolutely fine. But I see what they're doing is they can look at the rule book and say, oh, technically that's not your lamppost, you can't do that. But I mean, people do it all the time anyway. People put signs for missing
dogs
cats
pee on lampposts. They don't
yeah,
get it.
They
you know
do.
What I mean? Yours did before I had its knackers cut off.
But they don't do it when it's Palestinian flags. Both in Tower Hamlets and in Birmingham, they had absolutely no problem whatsoever with people putting Palestine flags and stickers and all of this everywhere. In Tower Hamlets, the what's his name? I can't remember his name.
His name, ladies and gentlemen, is the mayor is called Luther Rahman.
Yeah, and he's part of some Palestine party.
Oh, is he?
Yes, yes.
Oh, right.
And when there were Palestine flags everywhere, he was refusing to have them taken down. It wasn't until finally the Jewish community put enough pressure on him that they were finally taken down. But he sort of went down kicking and screaming, is the impression that I get. Not quite the same when it comes to St George's flags.
Well, this is what I want to ask you. You're obviously younger than me, I really do worry that we've got to a point where, and I talk about this a lot, you know, there are apologists in power, but it's almost as if everything that matters to what I call normal law-abiding tax-paying Britons is being stripped away. If it's not by people coming into this country telling us to change, it's governments and institutions who seem embarrassed. I don't think our government is proud of being British. Why the bloody hell when the French, no, not the French, the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish, why am I not allowed to, why is it easy for them to say it's the far right? It's not, I'm not, there's nothing about me that's far right. Why should I not be able to be proud of my flag? Why are we the only country in the world this happens to? Because Harry said, which I think is really interesting, they're laughing at us. Oh, there he is. Hold on a sec. Now, this is not, I'm just looking across at another thing, and I'm telling you now, Donald Trump is stood outside the White House at 1:13, and you can all tell me what I think. Oh, Zelensky's car is just arriving. Trump's given a bit of a thumbs up, or a punch up. There he is. He doesn't look very happy. He's 13 minutes late. Zelensky, he's put his arm on his shoulder. Zelensky is smiling, and he's got a suit on. No, it looks like a shacket. He's got a shacket on, hasn't he, Chloe? It's a shacket.
I can't see properly on the screen.
Yeah, he looks like... What does he look like?
What is he wearing? I just see black.
He looks like Anton Deck. He does look like... I'm not sure which one it is. Donald Trump and Zelensky at the front of the White House, whereas all the Europeans went round the back. Picture's awful. Oh, let's get some... You'd think that a cameraman would actually be able to get focus, wouldn't you? Oh, yeah, there we go.
Wait,
good.
so is he wearing a shirt with a quarter zip on top?
What is a shacket? It's a shirt jacket, isn't it? Can't they just buy him a bloody suit?
I've not heard that before.
You've heard of a shacket?
No.
Ryan wears them the whole time. It's a shacket, isn't it? It's a shirt, half jacket. It's like a thick shirt. Would you wear a T-shirt? I know these people are dreadful. Right, anyway, Zelensky's in with Trump. The others are having sliders. We're cracking on about flags. We'll bring you more as happens. Do you understand, though, for people of my age? Seriously, I think this is appalling. I don't know where it ends, and I genuinely mean that. We're not allowed to. Why are we not allowed to be proud?
I mean, I think we are doomed as a country if we don't believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
If you don't love this country and you're not proud of it, people aren't going to stand up for it. I mean, we're talking about this war in Ukraine today. I mean, God help us if we ended up having to go to war and suddenly they said, OK, young lot, who wants to come and fight for this country? None of them would, because none of them are patriotic. They don't care because they've been taught to hate their own country.
Well, there you are.
And with the flag, they have associated the St. George's flag with the far right.
Who's they? Who's they?
I think the press is partly responsible, and the government as well. They're just... Keir Starmer can put out a statement and say, oh, I'm proud to be British, but I don't see him proudly holding.
Well, if you're proud to be
St.
British,
George's
as
flag.
quickly as you did with British Steel, you got through the Commons in 24 hours, bring in a law, and make sure that people like the Mayor of Tower Hamlets and Birmingham are prosecuted, because I don't see... To me, it's symptomatic of what I think's happening to this country, and that's quite worrying and quite sad. Genuinely, I mean that.
Well, there's been this movement in universities and just in general discussion of people saying, oh, this country made some mistakes in its past, therefore we can't possibly fly the British flag because it's colonialist and evil. Every single country has some dodgy stuff in its history. That doesn't mean the whole country shouldn't be spoken about and it hasn't achieved anything. It's crazy, and they always put up in the press whenever there's, say, you know, Tommy Robinson goes out and do something, all these pictures of people who've got their England flags on them, and so people have made this association like, wearing a St. George's flag, that makes you some far right protester or something.
But that's
like
a line they dole out.
Not, I know, exactly, and that's why I say the press is partly to blame. But I always notice, if I go on holiday anywhere else, let's say you're in Italy, Spain or wherever, you see people hanging from their windows in their houses, their country's flag. They're very proud of it, and nobody looks at them and thinks, they're some sort of far-right fascist because they've got their country's flag out. It's just normal to be proud of your country and your culture and your heritage. But now people think that you're some sort of racist if you're proud of this country. It's bonkers, this point we've got to.
What my thing is, how have we allowed that? How have we allowed that to permeate almost everything? Who has allowed that ideology? Because I get what you're saying. My daughter's at university, and the lecturer said to them the other day that Great Britain, well, the UK and the military is responsible for every war that's ever happened. We're an appalling race. That's a lecturer. That's a lecturer.
Yeah, I mean, they are typically left wing.
Why?
I think the problem is. Well, I think generally in education, it's not really until you go out and you work and you start paying taxes and whatnot that you start moving away from the left, but that's another point. I think the problem is that when you have people come up with these idiot ideas and say Britain's a horrible country, is somebody needs to have the guts to come up and say, no, that's wrong, you're an idiot, but people are scared to, because then they are hounded out. We have this horrific, cancel culture, especially at universities. They will come at you like wolves if you say something the slightest bit controversial at university. I will admit, at university, I just kept my mouth shut. I didn't start making videos or anything until the moment I left, because I knew if I dared say something like there are only two genders at university, that would be it. I would be kicked out of every single student society, and I'd be done for. I'd be all across the student press. It's just not worth it.
All right, but just explain
and I'm a pretty confident person.
Yeah, just a bit. Just explain to an old man. We've got to a point where you at university didn't want to say anything for fear of being ostracised.
Yes.
Why has it gone that way? Why was not the majority of universities saying there are only two sexes? We do need to stop migrants coming to this country. We need to deal with law and order by having more policemen and women on the street. We need to strengthen our military. We need to bloody well lower taxation, because that was what the Conservative Party spoke about for years.
I mean, people at university, they live in a bubble.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, Trump. No, Trump's speaking live in the White House. Are we going live now? Let's go.
Substantial progress in many ways. We had a good meeting, as you know, just a short while ago with the president of Russia. And I think there's a possibility that something could come out of it. And today's meeting is very important. We have, I guess, the seven very powerful leaders from Europe, and we're going to be meeting with them right after this meeting. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you for invitation, and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you. And using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children, and my wife, she, First Lady of Ukraine, she gave the letter. It's not to you, to your wife.
Oh, I want.
Yeah. So we're saying this sensitive topic. Yes, please. And thanks to our partners, and that you supported this format. That after our meeting we can have leaders who are around us. UK, France, Germany, Italy, Finland, EU, NATO, I mean all partners around Ukraine supporting us. Thanks to them. Thank you very much for invitation.
Thank you very much for being here.
President Trump.
Do you think it's fair?
Yes, Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. So, President Zelensky, you say in a post on X today, Russia must end this war, which it itself started. President Trump, you say President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to. Which is it?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think we're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
And is this the end of the road for American support for Ukraine? Is today's meeting deal or no deal?
I can never say that. It's never the end of the road. People are being killed, and we want to stop that. So I would not say it's the end of the road. No, I think we have a good chance of doing it. It's been almost 4 years now that a lot of people were killed last week. A lot of people last week. I mean, millions of people killed, but a lot of people last week for whatever reason. A big number, a lot of soldiers, on both sides. And I know the president, I know myself, and I believe Vladimir Putin wants to see it ended.
And as you met with Putin on Friday, today you've got President Zelensky here. As you listen to Russia and Ukraine, which side has the better cards?
Well, I don't want to say that. I'm just here to be. Look, this isn't my war. This is Joe Biden's war. He's the one that had a lot to do with this happening, and we want to get it ended. And we want it to end good for everybody. We want it to end good. The people of Ukraine have suffered incredibly.
And to that point, President Zelensky, are you prepared to keep sending Ukrainian troops to their deaths for another couple years, or are you going to agree to redraw the maps?
Thank you for your question. So, first of all, we live under each day attacks. That today have been a lot of attacks and a lot of wounded people, and the child was dead, small one year and a half. So we need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners. And we will do our best for this. So, and I think we show that we are strong people, and we supported the idea of the United States, of personally of President Trump, to stop this war, to make a diplomatic way of finishing this war, and we are ready for trilateral, as President said. This is a good signal about trilateral. I think this is very good. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yes, if the peace deal will be achieved, are you going to be willing to send American peacekeepers to Ukraine?
Well, we're going to work with Ukraine, we're going to work with everybody, and we're going to make sure that if there's peace, the peace is going to stay long-term. This is very long-term. We're not talking about a 2-year peace and then we end up in this mess again. We're going to make sure that everything's good. We'll work with Russia, we're going to work with Ukraine, and we're going to make sure it works. And I think if we can get to peace, it's going to work. I have no doubt about it.
Your team has talked about security guarantees. Could that involve U.S. troops? Would you roll that out in the future?
We'll let you know that maybe later today. We're meeting with 7 great leaders of great countries also, and we'll be talking about that. They'll all be involved, but there'll be a lot of help. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
Vladimir Putin mentioned that the war will not end without addressing the root causes of this war. Have you had an understanding what are the root causes of this war?
Well, look, the war is going to end. When it ends, I can't tell you, but the war is going to end, and this gentleman wants it to end, and Vladimir Putin wants it to end. I think the whole world is tired of it, and we're going to get it ended. It was, I've done 6 wars. I've ended 6 wars, and I thought this maybe would be the easiest one, and it's not the easiest one. It's a tough one. A lot of reasons for it, and they'll be talking about it for a long time, but they'll be talking about the others. Look, India, Pakistan, we're talking about the big places. When you look at, you just take a look at some of these wars. You go to Africa and take a look at that. Rwanda and the Congo, Republic of the Congo. That's been going on for 31 years. And so we've done a total of 6, and we really have 6, not including the fact that we obliterated, and it turned out to be a total obliteration, the nuclear, as you said, the future nuclear capability of Iran. And this one, I think we're going to get solved also. I feel confident we're going to get it solved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you tell us about your conversations with European leaders and what they need to see to support an end to the war?
Yeah, well, we're going to be meeting with a great representative group and 7 very powerful, very big countries and great people, all friends of mine and friends of yours. And we're going to have some suggestions made. They want to see peace. They would like to see peace.
President Trump, you said last night
in the red.
President Trump, do you think it's fair for Ukraine and for Russia to achieve a lasting and durable peace if Ukraine cedes its territories that Russia hasn't yet conquered? Do you think it's a fair peace for Ukraine?
We're going to have a lasting peace. Just to answer the first part of your question, we're going to have a lasting peace. I hope it's going to be immediately. I hope it doesn't have to go on. And I think people of the whole world is going to be very happy when that's announced.
Hey, listen, I'm just going to jump in quickly because we want to get a Ukrainian response. Chloe will stay with us for after this break, but I just want to speak, good friend of the show and this station. We've spoken to her many times over the years. Kira Ruddick, MP, a Ukrainian MP. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, Kira. Initial response to what you've seen. If I can just give you what I would see, a far more contrite Zelensky, Trump sort of talking about how we're all in this together. It feels different to last time.
It is, Jeremy. It is, and we see lots of preparation being done beforehand, lots of people who are advising on how to behave near President Trump. And You know, here in Ukraine, our hearts are beating very quickly because we know what is at stake. For us, this is really high-stake meetings and not the Friday ones of Putin and Trump. We hope that behind the closed doors, when they will be discussing things, the situation will be similar, when President Zelensky, alongside with European leaders, will be able to calmly, normally explain things that we can do and things that we simply cannot do.
It's interesting that Zelensky has already said that he's ready for trilateral talks. Lots written over here, Kira, about how Trump in Alaska met Putin and today seeing Zelensky. And yes, Trump can say when he was being inaugurated, I'm going to get this done in a week. The reality is that hasn't happened. I just wanted to ask from the Ukrainian point of view, because there is a change and a shift, and I get that. Everybody knows that Vladimir Putin invaded a sovereign nation. But something has obviously happened in terms of the world, be it economically, be it the money, be it the loss of life, whatever, where people's expectations seem to have changed. Is Zelensky in a really difficult position? Do you, the Ukrainian people, fear that he's going to be pressurised to give up land or whatever, other concessions that would not be acceptable to the Ukrainian people?
We are not worried about this because President Zelensky doesn't have powers to concede land. He just not empowered to do that. And according to Ukrainian constitution, even if he is pressured to sign something or promise something, he just simply cannot redraw the borders. He cannot redraw the maps. There is a procedure for that. And we as a democracy are living according to the procedures. I understand that for President Trump, for dictator Putin, it's them who are making decisions, nobody else matters. But for us, our constitution matters. And President Zelensky just cannot come back to Ukraine and say, look, I have made a certain deal, now we have to figure out how to do it.
Well, let me jump in, because that's a really interesting point that you make. You talk about pressure, you talk about the Europeans who are there to help Zelensky, although they're not going to be in the private meeting, they're ushered through the back door for a buffet. If Zelensky does feel pressured, if he's told that economically the rest of Europe and the world won't give him any more weapons or any more money, or the tap's being turned off or whatever, you're saying that if he was pressurised into an agreement by Trump and whoever else, and he went back to Ukraine and said, I'm afraid we're going to concede this land, they'd overthrow him because of the Constitution. He wouldn't have had that power. So he's in a very difficult position, right?
I don't know about overthrowing, right? Again, we wouldn't be able to re-elect a new president, but he will not be able to deliver on that promise that he, I hope, wouldn't make. That's why we feel confident that he will be acting within his limitation. The question is, of course, what deal can be crafted in this situation. And I think the important shift that happened over the weekend is, for the first time since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, American president said the magic word which is security guarantees. Something that we have been talking with you since the day one.
Yep.
That will be the first thing that we need to start seeing the end of the war. And right now, it's been discussed, right? We hope behind the closed doors there will be discussions about who can provide which types of security guarantees, so that Ukraine would know that whatever is agreed, no matter if Russia will keep their part of the bargain, we would know that we are protected.
If you as a people, as a government, as a nation, Kira, were offered security guarantees, can you see any point, irrespective of the constitutional rights, that your country would be happy to concede land to Vladimir Putin?
No.
But then, with respect, and I'm not, listen, you know where I stand, we've spoken many times, Donald Trump says, and seemingly the Europeans seem to believe that this is the case, that there is no way to peace unless both sides give something. And in this case, and I get it. That's why it sort of has been glossed over, which is why I wanted to put you on. What happens if the only path to peace, to that security blanket, is to give land away, and the Ukrainians, through Zelensky or through their democracy, won't do that? What happens then?
Jeremy, let me ask you something back. When you say both sides need to concede something. Can you tell me what is Russia is conceding?
No.
This is something that I didn't hear from anyone. It seems that President Trump wants us to give up something, and Russia will give up what? Their hopes to conquer all of Ukraine? Important point. We have been talking to you for 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the first days of the full-scale invasion?
Yeah.
When everybody was telling us we are done. 3 or 4 days and Ukraine will be conquered, Kiev taken, so you better go, you better evacuate everyone and just disappear. What did Ukrainian people do? They fought back. They did not capitulate. Right now, we are in the position where we are not intending to capitulate yet again, even if the whole world is telling us that's the best thing to do, let's just forget about it.
Are you confident that your president, even if the world tells him to concede, will not do that? Are you confident in that? Do you trust your president?
I do. I hope that right now, in this tough spot where he is, he knows that no matter what is happening politically, that we are all behind him. He is a representative, a leader of a sovereign nation, of brave people who have paid an ultimate price to be where we are right now. And we hope that at some point we will have end of the war, elections, and then we will be fighting. But right now, more than any other time, we are standing as one.
Do you trust Donald Trump?
It's a harder question because he has changed his mind many times. But I think that's why there are so many European leaders there who will be standing together with President Zelensky and who will not give up on us and will not allow to pressure him or to walk away from the deal, etc.
Kira, you're a good friend. I appreciate it's a difficult time. Hearts are beating in Ukraine. We'll obviously keep everybody updated here, and I know you'll have your finger on that pulse. And thank you for giving us your reaction to those ongoing talks right now in the White House. President Donald Trump, Chloe, with Zelensky. I know Kira quite well. I wasn't shocked, but when she said there's no constitutional right that the president of Ukraine has to give up land, it strikes me, unless I'm missing the point, that the European leaders and Trump are saying there's no way for a peace and no security blanket unless they give up land. They could all end up in no man's land in this.
I mean, after hearing what she's had to say there about the Constitution, and I don't understand Ukrainian politics very well or what their constitutional constraints are, that makes me worry that there isn't going to be any peace deal. We're not going to get anywhere.
Do you think Zelensky is strong enough to stand up to Trump and the world?
I think that he, personality-wise, I think he's strong and he has shown a lot of tenacity with this war for so long. But at the end of the day, does he have the cards to back it up? I mean, Trump and America as a country is far more powerful than Zelensky. As you made the point there when talking to Kira, that Trump and other Western leaders, they could just turn the tap off. And if they don't have support from the West monetarily and with weapons, they're toast. So he hasn't got a whole amount of power, even if he talks the strong talk with Trump.
And I do take the side, I understand rather the side of the people who say, hold on a second, Putin invaded, and I know all about the injustices and how land is split. God, I studied the Treaty of Versailles, I understand what happened. But it's an interesting one, because last time he was thrown out, with a flea in his ear for daring not to perhaps show respect. Trump, to me, is taking on a more placatory role. It's almost as if he fears or senses that there might not be an agreement. I've done all I can. But I wonder if anybody's listening. I wonder what Kira Ruddick, I don't know if I knew that, but what Kira Ruddick said to me is an absolute revelation. Yeah. That he doesn't have the constitutional powers, Zelensky, to give land away, because we've been led to believe, all of us, that that's the number one thing. Here's a great piece of text from Margaret in Birmingham. Ask Chloe, did you see the bust of Sir Winston Churchill in the Oval Office? Clearly Donald Trump loves Great Britain a lot more than our bloody Prime Minister. It's true, isn't it?
Didn't Keir Starmer take down the Maggie Thatcher painting when he came into number 10?
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It's crazy that Donald Trump, he loves our country far more than we do in this country. I mean, Donald Trump, have you seen the video of him on the plane going through his photo book with the royals and with the Queen? And he loves the royal family, he loves this country. And I'm not just speaking for Trump there. Americans generally They love Brits. They love this country.
They love the accent. Oh my God, you're from England. I love your accent.
I think in Britain we don't understand how great we are as a country.
I don't think we are great anymore. Sorry. I don't think we are great anymore. Do you? Do you think we're great anymore?
I think we are, but I think the trajectory is going in a certain direction, let's just say.
We will continue to update you on those White House talks, of course. We have a fantastic presenter on tonight from 7 o'clock. Mark Dolan is on 7 till 10 in for Kev, who's in for Julia. I'm just sat here on my own. Mark Dolan here from 7. He'll take you through that. Just to give you some idea, you're watching on screen on YouTube Zelensky and Trump, and then he's got meetings with the Europeans, and they've had their sliders, and they're all going to meet, then they're going to have a photo shoot, then they're going to have a barbecue. Listen, it's all going to happen, and Mark will keep you updated. Chloe Dobbs, can you come back? Can we have her every day? She's brilliant. We love you. Thank you so much indeed. Chloe Dobbs on Talk Drive. We're back in 3.
Know about corruption in prisons. We know the amount of drugs that are coming in, the amount of inappropriate relationships, and what we don't know, and the MOJ is not transparent about, is how far up it goes. And I think that corruption at a higher level can completely destabilise a prison. It sounds to me, it smacks of, well, let's just brush this one under the carpet. And I think that's pretty much what they did.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Can I just say, I would love to have actually played what happened during the last ad break. I have been likened to, I cannot believe, Ryan, what you've just said. I'd like to liken you to a good producer, but I'm not capable of doing that. Oh, joking. 0344 499 1000 is my telephone number. It's 18 minutes to 7 o'clock. At 7, Mark Doolin is here, back on Talk, taking you through from 7 until 10. And from 10, it is Petrie Hoskins. She's a dish. I know, it's a crap. It's not Petrie Hoskins, thanks so much indeed. It's Johnny Gould. What can we say about Johnny Gould? Yeah. And in the morning, Mike Graham is back with Morning Glory from 6, the only way to wake up. We, though, are now, all the women in the building are smiling. He strutted his stuff. He's in Studio One. Ladies and gentlemen, Sexy Sarge, the night news editor from The Sun, John Lucas, known as Sarge. How are you, son?
Very well, thank you.
Turned out you're a Gunners fan. You're an Arsenal fan. Why are you grinning? I mean, you could have done better. I like you for beating Man United there.
We won. That's all you need.
Are you indoctrinating your son as an Arsenal fan, or is it?
100. He had his first game at the Emirates Cup.
Well, the problem is, my wife has indoctrinated my son, and they're all Chelsea fans, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm a West Ham fan. Do you want to just get it out of the way about Saturday?
I said he could have, if he doesn't grow up Arsenal, he can follow whatever club he wants, but I will not buy him a non-Arsenal shirt, so he'd have to fund that himself.
I think you should have gone further and said, if you don't support Arsenal, I'm not your father. You can do one and leave home. Right, mate, welcome. Tomorrow's Sun. I mean, we've been watching the live footage there. Round 2 at the White House. Zelensky, Trump, just out of interest. It was weird. They were there to protect him or help him. They all went in one door for a buffet, right? We're not sure, sliders, barbecue sauce, not sure. He went in the other door about an hour later. Trump, and then we heard this thing about, apparently they sent a White House directive saying he had to wear a suit. Did you see that?
Yes, wear this suit. And when Zelensky turned up, he's not quite wearing a suit, but he's wearing a jacket. And you could see Trump, he sort of made reference to it and said, oh, that's good, you know, you're a bit better. He was saying something like that.
How condescending is that?
Yeah, it's a weird one. So obviously everyone will remember this was a horrible debacle last time, and they're having another go. Zelensky's brought his sort of European big brother, so they're going to stand in the next room if it all kicks off.
Have you got a sense of humour?
They're going to pile in.
I'll see if you laugh. We were watching all the cars arrive from the European leaders. Guess who came in last? France. They always come in last, don't they? I thought that. Yeah, see what I did there? You see what I did? Yeah, okay, good.
Very good. But actually, I was caught a bit of it before coming here, and it's the tone is a lot warmer between Trump and Zelensky.
His language, Trump's, was a lot more placatory. But I mean, I'm not just saying it's an exclusive. I'm sure Ryan will get it out. We just had Kira Ruddock, the Ukrainian MP, who's always been on this station for 3 years, and she said, and I quote, and Ryan, you're gonna get right. She said, even if he is forced to concede territory, democratically, our constitution doesn't give the president the right to do that. If you listen to that, you think Zelensky's in a real hole, to be perfectly honest, because if everybody says for that security blanket you've got to do this, and he goes home, is he toast? I mean, genuinely, and I can't get out of my head the fact that Russia invaded his country, really, but it's obviously historical. But what everybody wants is the end to the killing, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a big push to get it done. Trump obviously wants to get it done. He's been boasting a lot about these 6 wars that he's brought to an end.
Yeah, what was that? We finished 6 wars.
I'm not sure I can count them all. I mean, he's done
West Ham, Millwall.
To be fair, you know, he has done some pretty impressive stuff. And I think this is the big one for him. He really wants to end it. And you've got to remember why we're doing it. Even today, Russia's attacking civilian infrastructure, and I think we've had 23 dead, many more wounded, and it's you know, it's blatant attacks on civilians, and that's why everyone needs to come together and bring it to an end.
In the Sun tomorrow, the Fight House Round 2. The story that has dominated this show, and for many of our listeners is the be-all and end-all, is this extraordinary story. It started with Birmingham Council saying you can't put up the Union Jack or the flag of St George because we're doing maintenance work. Now, the Mayor of Tower Hamlets. Do you know what this man was found guilty of in 2015? Is it in your article? Luther Rahm, who is the boss of Tower Hamlets, says you can't fly Union Jack flags because they're a health and safety risk because the pole could land on your head. He was found guilty of election fraud in 2015. We need to do something on that piece of rubbish, don't we?
Absolutely. Well, he's a very controversial chap and has been for a long time.
How's he a mayor then?
Well, the people of that borough vote for him.
And he's also something to do with the Palestinian not Palestinian action, but he was something to do with Palestine. Somebody was saying.
Yeah, I mean they've been pro-Palestine, and in the wake of the Israel-Gaza war, which you have to bear in mind was started when Hamas launched this horrific attack on October 7th. Lots of Palestinian flags were put up across the borough, and I remember very well in the Sun newsroom we were getting lots and lots of very angry calls about it. Eventually they were taken down, but it wasn't a rapid decision like it has been with these flags. And we're going to keep on this story because there's lots of councils.
Because our listeners and your readers are livid about this.
Yeah, lots of councils have all different rules, and I think there'll be more stories come out about, you know, some of the flags they do and don't fly. incidentally, I mean, I think we're the perfect paper to cover it. You come down into the Sun newsroom, wherever you sit, you'll see, it's not everywhere, but you're going to see a Union Jack, you're going to see a St George's Cross, but crucially, lots of our reporters who aren't English come in and put their flags up. We've got a Greek, we've got an Irish, and everyone's quite happy with each other's flags.
I'm so happy that Talk and the Sun do this. I think it's awful. I think we are... I really think people are angry that we've become so apologetic for almost everything that we're... I mean, the Welsh are proud, the Irish are proud, the Scots are proud, but not us. No. And I think, please God, we continue to do it. This is a brilliant story in the Sun tomorrow. Sort of thing you'd do, Ryan. Double-decker marriage wrecker. A bus fanatic who bought 23 vintage vehicles says his wife is furious and wants him to sell up. Essex-based transport consultant Wesley Tierney fell in love with old-fashioned buses at 10. Try to be out with a few. When his bus conducting dad allowed him to hop on his route through Stevenage, Hertfordshire. He spent £7,000. Look at Ryan. I've never seen Ryan so excited. Oh, that sounds fun. It's an upgrade on models. He spent £7,000 refurbishing his first bus, a Leyland Lynx, the same model his dad drove. He's done up 23 buses.
Yeah. He's only a 34-year-old guy, this bloke.
Does he get out much?
He's married a bus conductress.
Right. Oh God, did I say that? I didn't mean to.
She puts on the uniform when he goes out.
See, Sarge is off again, making it sexual.
Somebody quotes this guy.
He's gone. Look, he's gone.
He says, "Oh, she's desperate for me to sell these buses. She's waiting. She wants to get the kitchen done, an extension. He's got these buses are worth 200 grand now. But
all 23 of them?
Yeah, he put them all together, and he's got it. He's got mates all over the place. He has to keep them on farms because obviously he's got a...
This story's getting weirder. He's now got a bevy of buses worth 200 grand on farms all over the United Kingdom, and his wife likes to dress up.
But some of these quotes, he says, "You're never a dull person when you own a bus."
Right.
The older buses come alive at night because of the bulbs they have in the saloons. Basically, you're never a dull person.
Have you ever heard that Victoria Wood joke about the bus? She said, "I'll tell you how bad England is," she said. "This is how bad England is." She said, "I was on a bus the other night, right? Top deck, double-decker. There was about 14 of us at the front and a couple were having sex on the back, right? But because it's an English bus, no bugger says a word. This couple are literally having sex on the back seat, right? When they finished, a couple of minutes obviously, he lights up a cigarette and 3 people jump up and say, "I think you'll find this is a non-smoking bus." That exactly sums up the United Kingdom. But anyway, good luck to him. This is, I don't even know how to say this. Ready? Hands off our knob. That's the headline of the Sun. It's not me being rude.
Yeah.
Who wrote that? You. Did you write that headline?
Well, it's nothing rude. It's nothing rude. This is about a place called Knob Lane in the village of Belper in Derbyshire.
Yeah.
And the locals are furious because people keep coming. It started off people come to take a picture next to the sign for a little joke, but people just keep nicking it. And it's
they feel, don't they? They're being shafted by thieves.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it can cost about £4,000, depending on the damage, to replace these signs. So people are getting quite angry about it.
So people keep going to the village of Knob in Derbyshire and shafting the villagers by nicking the knob. Jodie wants to know where the location's in Derbyshire. Go a long way to find a knob with lots of people in it. So how many times is this? How do you get this brilliant story?
Dozens of hearts. It keeps happening, and we look into it, and there's other places across the country that suffer this same fate. It's quite a serious thing. You've got Scratchy Bottom in Dorset. I'm not going to say the one.
No, you are.
I'm not going to say that.
Why?
One.
Get me sacked. What is it?
There's Yorkshire's. There's Backside Lane in Yorkshire, and there's one in Northampton called Bell End Street. Where
Show me the one you didn't want to do. Which one is it? Come on.
It's this one in Worcestershire.
Night News editor. Hold on. Hands off our knob. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, Scratchy Bottom in Dorset, Worcestershire's... Worcestershire's It's a Lane, and it rhymes... do you remember that comedy duo, Blank and Bracket? It rhymes with her first name. Back in 3.
know about corruption in prisons. We know the amount of drugs that are coming in, the amount of inappropriate relationships. And what we don't know, and the MOJ is not transparent about, is how far up it goes. And I think that, you know, corruption at a higher level can completely destabilise a prison. It sounds to me, it smacks of, you know, well, let's just brush this one under the carpet. And I think that's pretty much what they did.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
6 minutes to 7, live from 7. The incredibly talented and brilliant Mark Doolan is here from 7 until 10. Johnny Gould from 10 o'clock and Mike Graham back with Morning Glory. We're live across the United Kingdom on the home of free speech and common sense. Jezza, the Ukrainians have been brave beyond belief. This is from Chris in Newbury. But Kira fails to understand that Ukraine has provided the fighters, but we have provided the weapons and the money. Kira can vote down any deal, but she can't beat Putin with a constitution. It may be painful to sign away some land, but we won't keep signing cheques we can no longer afford. It's an interesting theory. Joe Hanlon, Jezza, it needs to be the Union Jack, not the flag of St George, and we need to fly it from every bloody lamppost in the world. We should be united, English, Welsh, Scottish and Northern Irish. It's do-gooders who have created this embarrassment of a country, and we need to regain patriotism and kick the do-gooding sponges on the arse and out as soon as possible. Fantastic. Stephen, why do folk get so hung up on Zelensky wearing a suit? He publicly pledged to wear military fatigues until the day the Russians withdrew from his country. Stephen Millings in Belfast. Sam Bell, I hope West Ham get relegated. The mighty Millwall will be waiting. I hope they get relegated because the mighty Millwall will be waiting, which means you don't have any belief that the mighty Millwall can ever be promoted. The mark on Starmer's lip, that's what you get when you kiss a frog. Nice. 4 minutes to 7 to the phone lines. Let's go to North Yorkshire. Jill even. I can't even speak. Jill, you're on Talk Drive. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Jeremy. Nice to talk to you.
And you, whereabouts in North Yorkshire, sweet?
I'm in a tiny village between Harrogate and Ripon.
Ripon. Good racecourse there. Seriously, just open the door when I'm trying to speak. It's all good. Right, Jill, you got 2 minutes. Crack on. How tall's Mark Dolan, by the way? Jesus, he's huge. Sit down, man. Give me neck ache. Jill, go on. What'd you say?
OK. Firstly, it took me 9 months to get my British passport.
Did it?
Not because I'm not British, but because I was born in a military hospital that was flying the flag, the British flag, in Zambia, which is now Zambia. It was Northern Rhodesia. So I feel very strongly about flags. I feel even more strongly because my father was a commando in the Forgotten Army. He served in Burma. He was a commander at 21. He was mentioned in dispatches because he was defending a lieutenant who was the VC.
Don't think me rude, babe, because I haven't got a load of time, but tell me what you want to say very briefly. Sorry.
What I want to say is, I visited his cave, I decorated it with the British flag, I've got it in my room, and I'm sick of apologising for being British. And I'm sick of paying for being British. I don't want these illegal immigrants. If they come through legally, great. But the people that are arriving are an army. They are invading us. And we haven't got enough in our own army to stop them.
Couldn't agree more. Really good. Sorry to rush you, Jill, in North Yorkshire, but thank you very much. Jesus, good Lord, man. I've never met this gentleman. This is like we're meeting one of your broadcasting heroes. How tall are you, Mark Dolan? How tall are you?
Well, I'm still growing. 6'5". So I have
6'5".
Yeah, and 82 kilos if you have to.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean? How much do you weigh?
God knows, about 11 stone.
It's very nice to meet you.
I'm a lightweight in more ways than one.
All right, OK. So I am indeed your fluffer, officially all week. Delighted. Welcome back to Talk.
What a privilege.
Lovely
Listen,
to have you on.
Amazing to meet you. I don't want to call you a legend because that can be very ageing. Someone feels very old.
I am 60 and old. Your producer, Samara, thinks I'm the oldest git in broadcasting. Doesn't talk to me anymore. Now she talks to Kev O'Sullivan the whole time.
Well, I love your show, and it's the greatest honour to be the follow-up OK? And we're going to be picking up on this flag conversation.
Dreadful.
Should the only flags in Britain simply be the Union Jack and the flag of each home nation? I wonder, I'll be asking my viewers for that and listeners. And the other question I've got is regarding Keir Starmer. So if there's some kind of peace deal, we are the coalition of the willing, apparently. So
of the
coalition of the willing. So my question to our viewers and listeners is, are you willing to pay for that?
Yep.
And would you be willing to send your son or daughter to fight for this Prime Minister? Because I'm not sure many would.
Ladies and gentlemen, is why Mark Dillon is a top broadcaster, because I've spent 3 hours asking the question, what the hell is that lump on Keir Starmer's bottom lip? Is it a zit, or in fact part of his salad at lunch? Here's another thing. When we were covering what was happening, the Europeans were going in the back door, Zelensky went in the front door. They were shunted off for a buffet. What was in that buffet? Were there sliders? Was there mayonnaise? You see the terrible difference between me and you.
Do you have this issue with the buffet, which is my eyes are big?